Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Peace in the world.
Hey, it's Friday, everybody! And college football is officially here. I know they played games last weekend, but for me, last night with the backyard brawl and the Penn State-Purdue finish, wow, what a game. I thought Purdue got jobbed. I thought that was a catch. They called it a catch on the field. Crazy. I don't think Penn State's as good as a lot of people think they are.
No.
Welcome to the program. Today was carved out as a complete Ohio State preview show. We're going to do about an hour and 45 minutes on Ohio State because we absolutely have to talk about Donovan Mitchell. We're going to do that in a second. Buckeye preview show, Maurice Clarett is on. Robert Smith is on. Voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels is on. Tyvis will be here. We've got a really full show. If you're an Ohio State football fan, you're not going to want to miss. This is like an hour and 45-minute pregame show the day before the game.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk about all things Buckeye. Also, we want to promote the shirts, the one where I look like I'm 85 years old. Can we show that again?
That's awesome.
We did. Did you not notice it yesterday, Jay?
I talked about it. Someone said that, man, you look awfully distinguished. But I heard from a lot of people yesterday.
Your son said something.
My son weighed in, but I heard from a lot of people. They're like, bro, who drew that? Who drew that? Because you're 57, not 87.
I love it. I think the shirt's awesome.
Of course you do,
like
but
George
you got
Bush.
alligator arms and you look like a midget.
Kid.
Small person.
That's right, small person.
Yeah, that shirt is awesome.
Do you
Those
love
shirts
your
are-
depiction?
Yeah, my body looks funny, but I don't care because it's a funny picture. I think it's great.
You don't look 85, so you're good with it.
But I look like I have a tiny body on a jet with a giant
Yeah,
head.
thanks, son.
Look at Jay's son.
Love you, dog.
I just followed your son on Twitter. I noticed your son was following me on Twitter, and I followed him back. Yeah,
Let me tell you, he's a big fan of the show.
that's cool.
I will say, though, his favorite is G. Bush. How about that?
G. Bush is everybody's favorite.
I mean, including me.
Ada, it's the people's champ. I didn't get this belt. The people gave this to me.
That's true.
Right.
That's
exactly.
true.
They adorn me with that title, and I have to fulfill.
Do you still hold the People's Champ title?
Yeah, listen, right
I
now.
know you came in as the People's Champ.
I'm the People's Champ. I'm an
Questionable.
Intercontinental Champ. The Tag Team Champ.
And Japanese champ?
No. And the U.S. Continental Champ.
Hey, G. Bush, no disrespect, but we got a lot of Donovan Mitchell stuff.
Let's
we
go.
have
Donovan
to get to.
Mitchell.
Yeah, we do.
Let's cut off the People's Champ stuff. Let's get right into Mitchell because
Yeah,
hopefully the
we
Cleveland
have to get there.
Cavaliers are the next champs we're talking about.
Yeah.
Guys, the one thing that I want to point out, you guys did a great job last night. I wasn't able to watch because I was getting ready for the 5 o'clock show, but I heard a lot of good feedback on what you guys did. So this is what the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show really has become. We're here every day from 11 to 1, and we're talking all things Cleveland sports. But when things break, and this is a perfect example of it, it was midday. It was mid-afternoon, whatever time it was. You guys scrambled. It's like F-18s. Get them up in the air. We got a problem. Wherever you guys were, and you were in various places, within minutes, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show was blasting out a signal, and over 1,000 viewers almost instantly.
Yes.
And you maintained that number so that
It's 16,000 viewers already by
it's
this morning.
unbelievable. It really
it was
is.
great. It was the three of us and Mikey McNuggets. Tyvis was on for a little while.
I saw
We had a great
Tyvis
time.
checked in for a minute. You were on, Brad.
Yeah. G. Bush and I were
So-
Winnie the Pooh in it.
For those that didn't watch that, we'll quick give the
Yeah.
thumbnail thoughts because we will get to Ohio State football. My quick thought on it is the Cavaliers have seen what the Browns are doing, and they're putting all their chips right to the middle of the table. Yep. They know that the iron is hot. They know they've got a very talented young team. They knew that the cost of getting that player that was the missing piece. And we all said they're a missing piece away from being a contender.
Right.
Donovan Mitchell is that missing piece. I don't even look at the price. I don't look at the price.
Yeah,
because
this could turn out to be a disaster down the line, but
it
I
could,
would do it any day of the
if
week.
Abaji ends up being a superstar player,
Right.
yes.
Plus-
And the lack of picks, I know that you say that their picks, get
Yeah.
rid of them. When you look down the road and you've got one first-round draft pick until 2029.
Right. Well, until 2030 because they gave
Well,
up
they've
the
got I thought they had the 24 and the 29.
Yeah, they do.
No,
So
they traded the 25, the 27, and the 29 as part of the deal.
28.
And then they got 2 swaps in there.
The swaps in there.
The swaps are 26 and 28. The 29 they gave up. You can't trade back.
OG noticed when you talk about them teams.
Paul's right, by the way.
So I thought they had the 29. I read a whole article last night that said they did have the 29.
No.
So
they don't.
Let's get off the Capitol.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You don't care about it, do you?
No.
I don't
I'm
either.
trying to win.
Because you're built for now, right? The way the league is structured now, there's free agent movement, player movement. I don't care if you're under contract or not. People are moving here in 3 to 4 years. So your window is now. You've got this young talent here. We knew we were a piece away, right? And Sexton wasn't going to fill the bill because he didn't want to accept the role that they wanted to give him. So then, at this point, you go to the market. I, by no means, thought that we were ever a player in the Donovan Mitchell conversation.
I didn't either. I thought it was a done deal. He was going to the Knicks.
So you tell me you gave up Colin Sexton, basically.
Which we knew was on the block.
You weren't going to give a contract to.
Right.
Lori Marketing.
Yeah.
You had to give away for cap reasons.
You did.
Yeah.
Your first round pick, Abaji.
Yeah. That's the one that I think most about.
Well, we don't know because you don't know how it plays out, but you're going to have to give them something to get something.
You do.
Right?
You're absolutely right.
Because down the line, 7 years from now, I could be hot garbage.
Yeah,
you're right.
You're right. Those picks might be good in 2027 and 2029. Those picks might be great for Utah, but who cares? You got a top 20 NBA player. You now have 4 of the top 40 players in the NBA. You have 3 guys that were all-stars last year, and the only guy who wasn't is Mobley, who we all think is going to be the best player on this team eventually.
Yeah.
So you got 4-star players. Now, the Eastern Conference is loaded. This doesn't guarantee
It's almost like the Browns in the AFC.
Yeah. Right.
I feel the same way about that.
You punched a ticket to be in the mix.
You did. Yeah. And that's all you want. That's what the fan base wants.
Yes. Jay, to your point, but pressure creates pressure for other teams. So the Browns have upped the ante, right, in this town.
Yeah.
Look, the Guardians are on the rise.
Yeah.
Right? The Cavaliers not going to be left out the mix. Like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, we want our seat at the table.
The other thing you see was created here with the moves of all our organizations. Cleveland now is looking like it's becoming a destination I can go to. Because there were years here that nobody would come through here because they're like, I can't go to Cleveland.
Unless LeBron was here. When LeBron was on the roster, it was different.
Even when LeBron was on the roster, because a player of that magnitude, I felt like.
Do you feel Kevin Love comes here willy-nilly, open arms if LeBron's not on the roster? I know, but
bailed out of Minnesota
he's also
myself.
an LA guy. I don't think the Cavs ever get Kevin Love if LeBron's not here.
So the thing I would tell you, I would tell you this. That has been eradicated. We are now in a position where we were, as a team, were fun to watch, surprising. We got to the play-in, and when it came down the stretch, you didn't have people that could make.
What's your expectation for next season and then the following season?
Well, I think that they are in position to be a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference.
Clearly.
Right?
But are you disappointed if they don't make the East semifinals, the East finals?
Well, here. I never get that far because your injuries, everything else can play in the way. I just want us to be in position. We need a go-to guy.
Yeah.
Down the stretch that I can say, Bull, I'm going to give you the ball.
Yeah.
Make me a play.
Sure, and he can do that.
I'm disappointed if they don't win at least one.
And we did not have that.
I'll tell you this.
Oh, I'm massively disappointed if they don't win one. For me, they've got to go to the semifinals this year. They've got that talent.
Well, here's the thing. In the East, everybody is stacked. They got
good
studs.
teams.
There's 8 good. Now, here's the thing that we learned about the Cavs last year. When it got down to the nitty-gritty and it was playing games, which were essentially playoff games, people kicked it up another notch.
And the Cavs didn't have a guy that could score the ball when they needed to.
That playoff game is different. Like, guys are shot makers. It don't matter. Shot hands, everything. Everybody had one. Trae Young, Kyrie, Tatum, Brown, all those guys. The Cavs literally have one of them dudes that now you can say, oh, okay, it's tight. Here you go. Roll that out.
So are you with us? Like, if they don't make the semifinals this year, it's a disappointment?
No, I won't say that because it's that good. It's that good. Because we didn't even talk about Milwaukee. We have not talked about the Sixers.
Boston went to the finals.
Boston,
Miami,
Brooklyn,
good.
Here, so without
Atlanta added DeJounte Murray.
It's a gauntlet.
Without Donovan Mitchell, I don't know we even having a conversation. Cracking the code here.
Yeah.
Right. Now we're cracking the code. The good thing I like, I don't know if you follow this. Donovan Mitchell found out when he was on the golf course yesterday.
I know.
And he was
very, very excited.
Brian Windhurst, they said they did some feelers, and they said that he said he would be excited to go to Cleveland if they kept their big three.
He tweeted a picture of him in a Cavs jersey as a kid.
Yep.
Ricky Rubio tweeted something that I didn't get what he was saying exactly. It must be an inside thing between them. And Donovan Mitchell was like pumped up. I mean, you think about what the Cavs have now. Like, I don't know. We were talking about yesterday.
There it is.
Right. I don't know who their fifth starter is. I don't know if it's Okoro, maybe even Kevin Love back in the starting lineup. I don't know. But like, think about the amount of guys you have that could definitely score 20 points in a game. Like, you have your 4 stars, plus Kevin Love, plus what's his name? Who they got from Indiana last year? His name
LeVert.
Like, that's 6 guys that can score 20 points on any night.
If it's Okoro, he turns 26. Donovan Mitchell turns 26 this week.
Next coming week, yeah.
He'll be the oldest starter in the lineup, and he's barely 26.
I know, it's amazing.
And this looks like an all-star lineup.
Right.
It does.
It's really incredible when you think about where one move, and all of a sudden, the excitement for Cavalier basketball is, I'm not going to say LeBron level, but it's higher than it's been since the early 90s for any non-LeBron team.
Close. I would tell you that I think we're still one reserve player away. The 3, we got to figure out what you're doing with the 3.
You got a name for us? Who do you think?
Well, you know, I tell Melo every day, right? Because I need a guy off the bench. Because when I get to the playoffs are so different. It's not about what I did in 82 games in the season.
You're right.
It is how I attack Jay's team today.
Sure.
And I got to beat Jay's team 4 out of 7 times.
Yep.
Right? And how I do that usually with firepower. Right. I have to be scared of us. Down the stretch last year, I didn't feel that anybody was scared of the Cavaliers down the stretch in the playoffs. Now we had a guy like Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
I got to respect this because
here's one concern that I have.
That's why I said the Melo piece.
And it's a mild concern, but this is something that Jim Donovan brought up yesterday on our 5 o'clock show when we were talking about it. Now, I know it's out of necessity that he's done this in Utah, but he is a ball-dominant scorer.
Yes.
And I wonder how he fits in with these other guys. I think it's going to take probably until December or January before all of these parts fit together. Yeah. But that's my only concern. He's been so used to saying, jump on my back, let's go. He does have guys on this roster that he'll need to share the rock with.
He lost early in the playoffs. I'm sure he's learned from that and would,
A lot of young players do that early on. Jordan did it early on.
That was his role. Clear. It was nothing in Utah.
No, that's why, and that's why I pointed that out. That's why I pointed that out.
Down the stretch, when they needed plays, Koby was making no plays.
Right, he was the only guy.
Give it to Donovan Mitchell, you make the plays.
And
are you worried about that at all, Brad?
I'm not worried about it because in this, as you get older in life, I don't want to do all this work.
Sure.
Listen,
Jordan went through that whole
thing. I played on a team with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars in the backcourt. Now, Isaiah, when he got to Detroit, he was the ball-dominant guy.
Yeah, he was.
He was the guy doing all the work. And then when Joe came along, he was easy, like, okay, Joe, do some of the work, and then I'll come in here and do my – you'll learn here because I give less, but I get more, right? I involve every one of us, and guess what? The show gets better, right?
All right, I want you to take Donovan under your wing when he gets here, and I want you to tell him that story.
He's going to find out because I tell you why. J.B. Bickerstaff, the son of my old coach Bernie Bickerstaff, we were on a team in Seattle full of them. JB knows exactly what to do and what to say. Right? Yeah. This is an old school setup. And I like, what? Cleveland got a player in their prime. We're not getting somebody at 34, 35 years old at the end of the line here.
All fit. You have 2 rim protectors. Before, you had small guards. Remember Delonte West and Mo Williams, small guards, but they only had Z back there. The Cavs have 2 rim protectors, high defensive IQ. They'll be able to erase a lot of the stuff that they ain't doing. And this team actually reminds me a little bit of the Pistons. They just need a guy like Rodman to come in that knows his role, defense, and I think that'll put them right on the
I think they need a forward that can defend.
They definitely need that.
They definitely need that. But
that's why I asked Brad, do you have anybody in mind outside of?
I would tell you, I would like to strengthen the bench defensively a little bit better. I'd like to get some punch off the bench. That's why I say Melo. But I tell you what, the pickup of Lopez is good. And Mobley's brother is good.
I forgot about that.
This thing is about to get real good.
No, that's right.
Here, my days on the station afterwards are going to be real good.
By the way, real quick before we go to McNuggets, like the backcourt, I was saying this yesterday, kind of like, in a way, it's like Portland's backcourt, right? They had the 2 small point guards, but they couldn't really go anywhere in the playoffs because they had nothing up front. So the Cavs have the 2 small point guards, and they got to go a little more before they was quite as good as what Portland was, but they're right there, and yet we have 2. two great post players, or one great one and one's becoming great. But if Jared Allen is your fourth best player,
jeez.
Yeah. I mean, how many teams have a fourth
I'm telling you,
best player?
I am disappointed if they don't win a playoff series.
Yeah. Oh, they got to get that series.
That's my question, Jay. We got one quick question before we bring in Paul Keels here.
Yeah.
Are the Cavs a top 4 team in the East right now?
I think they are. That's why I'd be disappointed if they don't win a series.
Talent-wise, they are, but they don't have the experience of a lot of those other teams.
But by the time April rolls around, they'll have a full season playing together.
Yeah.
I just look at the talent, guys. There are teams with 2 better players than we do.
Right.
I'm not sure there's a team. No, there probably is at least one. We've got 4 really, really good players, and not a lot of teams have that.
No, that's true.
I think they're sitting between 4 and 5. I like Milwaukee. I think the Sixers are great. Boston is great. That's the top 3 right there. But then you got in that 4 or 5, you got Brooklyn. You got the Atlanta Hawks who've gotten better.
Brooklyn's low key. I think Brooklyn could end up being some people's favorites.
Yeah.
Brooklyn could end up
if they
being
ever
1
figure
seed
it out.
or 10.
I agree with you. If they ever figure it out, the chemistry experiment, I think they're going to be dangerous.
Atlanta got better. Toronto's still decent.
It's like the AFC.
Yeah, it really
is.
It
really is.
I don't think any more teams in this league have more size than the Cavaliers.
No, but I think the Cavs are. I agree with you. I think they're like 4 or 5.
Lopez, Mobley, Jared Allen, Love.
Yeah.
And
God,
this
is deep, guys.
The Eastern Conference is
deep.
loaded. The competition in the East this year is going to be almost
great,
as
Mike.
delicious.
The East is better for the first
time. Built Bar. We got a Built Bar mention.
The East is better than the West. Go ahead, Mike.
East is way better than the West.
Yeah.
Way better.
And just like Built Bars are better than the other power bars that you can get as you wake up in the morning. If you haven't tried the Built Bar Puffs yet, y'all are missing out. They're so good that the box we got
What
upstairs.
are they called? Built Bar?
Built Bar Puffs. The new
Chunk
product.
Puffs, baby.
They're so good that I had to hide them from Anthony and Earl because they started stealing them from me. They wanted the cookie dough chunk puffs because they're only 160 calories with 15 grams of protein. I said, no way, guys. It's bulk season. I need all of those. Go to built.com. Use promo code LOCKDOWN15. Get 15% off. And now it's time to talk a little Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yes,
and
it
who
is.
better to talk Buckeyes
Yes, it is.
Then the voice of the Buckeyes himself, Paul Keels.
There he is, the voice. Paul, welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We're thrilled to have you. I look at this as it's like New Year's Eve for me because tomorrow it's like Christmas Eve. Tomorrow we get to rip the paper off and we get to see the present. How does the beginning of this season in excitement and anticipation for you compare to all of your other seasons calling Ohio State action?
Well, considering the fact this is the first time that Ohio State has began the year with themselves and the opponent being a top 5 program in preseason rankings, that kind of sets it apart by itself. There have been some other, 2003, they opened defending their national championship with Washington. My first year, 98, they opened at West Virginia. But, yeah, this one's kind of a whole different level when you consider the anticipation of Ohio State and just the recognizability of the Buckeyes and Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame, obviously, their head coach, there's been a lot of talk about what he said in the offseason, and the Buckeyes are fired up. Do you think that plays a role in the game, or is that something that guys like us in the media talk about and gets blown out of proportion?
I think it's guys like us in the media blow it a little out of proportion. It got some attention, but, now that we're getting close to the start of the game and people are more focused on what's going on with the teams, who's going to play what role, things like that, I think that kind of takes a back seat. But also, I would say this, Adam, too. People around here who are familiar with Marcus Freeman when he played here, his ascension through the coaching ranks, I think they have a lot of respect for what he's done, especially in his time as a player here at Ohio State. So I think that's kind of shoved in the background a little bit, and it's more about the guys that are going to be on the field.
The voice is just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
The voice is absolutely positively
so be clear,
incredible.
Be clear, Paul Keels is the voice of the Buckeyes.
Man.
And Paul, you holding Stokes in check down there? Are you holding him in check?
Mr. Mayor, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm trying to keep you. Brad, you know better than anybody. The only person that keeps Ron Stokes in check is his wife. But I'm trying to keep him in check as much as I can.
For the years of 18 years old, so true.
I love Stokes.
Right.
Hey, Paul, let's talk about this because we really upped the ante here, right? So, as a longtime Buckeye, I've been waiting for the Notre Dame dudes. We never get to see them really, right? Basketball, football, we ever get to see it. Well, we get the chance to go heads up and not at the end of the year. Talk about it at the beginning of the year. The tailgates, I know the tailgates are setting up already. Like, this thing is ready to go tomorrow. How's the vibe down in Columbus?
I think they start tailgating on Monday. But you're right. The last 2 times they've played, it's been in Fiesta Bowl games. And, it certainly is exciting to see that happen. But it's been 26 years since they played in the regular season. It just makes too damn much sense that these schools should play more often than they do.
Right.
They'll play next year in the 3rd week of the season. But, a lot of us grew up, as youngsters. And, I grew up in Cincinnati. And went to Cincinnati Moeller High School, and we had a lot of guys that went to Notre Dame to play football.
Yeah.
Steve Niehaus, Tony Novikov, Tony Hunter, so many of those guys. So,
Jerry Fowles
Notre Dame is just, even though they've not succeeded in the win-loss total the way they did back in the 60s and 70s, they're still such a recognizable program. And, Brad, I think this is just added to everything with it being – and plus, having gone to school here, the first game of the year, they could be playing all of us putting a uniform on. There would be an excitement about it.
That's true.
Hey, Paul, what about this though? You think as we shake down, this opens the door to Notre Dame coming in alignment with the rest of us and joining on our side of the ledger at some point?
I think it's ever gonna
Well, Brett, here's how I look at it. It's kind of like if you get a girl that you're really sweet on and you keep asking her out and she keeps turning you down, why are you going to keep asking her? They've said no enough times. And I think the other thing that gives Notre Dame a little bit of leverage, this new TV deal includes NBC.
Yeah.
So that probably still gives them the ability to kind of force themselves into what they've done with NBC and still somewhat exist independently. Now, when the other shoe falls with all of these other conferences, and if we do get to where there's a small number of super conferences, maybe that forces the issue. But, and the other part of it too, Brad, is when you still have some Big Ten schools that schedule Notre Dame, they're kind of having their cake and eating it too. It's kind of hard to see it.
Paul, I look at this and, you could look at realignment. You look at, teams moving around. But for me, these types of matchups give you that feeling. They give you that, it's the difference between college and the NFL. And with all the alignment and things going on, do you think that the NCAA or the Power 5 schools should do all they can to kind of keep these types of matchups going? Because to me, this is a matchup. I went back and watched on the internet, the games between Notre Dame and Ohio State, and it just gave me that feeling because of the magnitude. Do you think they should continue to do these types of things, even if the conferences expand?
I hope so, Garrett. And I think we understand that, outside of a Notre Dame or a Texas or a Washington or something like that, schools like Ohio State, they have to have the non-returnable non-conference games to where, like next week, Arkansas State comes in. That's a payday for Arkansas State. The great thing for Ohio State this year is they have 8 football games. But to kind of answer your question, Garrett, I think once we get to wherever the playoff field is going to expand, then it'll make schools feel a little more comfortable about scheduling these type of matchups so that one loss doesn't necessarily take you out of a playoff possibility.
That's probably why we don't see more of them. I remember when they had the home and home in the mid-'90s, and the excitement, the anticipation was around it because they hadn't played since, I believe, the 30s. The mid-'30s.
Correct.
So it had been so long between meetings of these superpowers. I think it ratchets up the excitement for the sport right away. Like last night, watching the Purdue-Penn State game, and even the backyard brawl, because I was kind of going back and forth between them. These are meaningful football games that teams are playing right out of the box. And to your point, Paul, about how when teams, the reason they don't want to play these is because one of them has to lose. And in the case of Ohio State Notre Dame, the loser almost falls out of the conversation immediately for national championship hopes. And that's why I wish that they would expand the playoffs and include more teams, because I think it would. I know they say, well, right now every game matters. Well, every game matters to the 10 teams that might be in the running for the 4 spots. For everyone else, none of the games matter. What do you think about an expanded playoff? What would be your perfect number, and when do you think we get there?
Jay, that's the tough part about it. And I think that's what's made schools afraid to schedule games like this, and why you've seen some of these where it's been, I remember a handful of years ago, I think it was Michigan played Alabama, and they played them in Dallas. I don't know what the perfect number is. The hard part gets to be, and I think we've all become aware of the fact they're not going to take games away. I don't know that you'll ever lose conference championship games just because of the revenue that it brings. Schools certainly don't want to lose home games, especially a school like Ohio State that's got 36 sports that they're trying to fund. But an expansion does give you, the opportunity to do this. Now, after the Notre Dame series, Ohio State's got Texas and they've got Washington well down the road. They do have a home and home with Alabama coming up. Those are the kind of things that get fans excited.
Yeah.
People aren't going to be as crazy about going to see Arkansas State and Toledo the next few weeks, except for the real diehards. A perfect number, I'm not sure, Jay. I would like to see something that if it involves maybe for the top seeds an opening round bye, I sure would love to see if it involved the possibility of some games on home fields, on campuses, so that the fan bases of teams that are involved, they don't have the burden of having to travel and deal with hotels and flights and things like that. So I'm not sure exactly, Jay, what the perfect number is.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Day obviously has done a magnificent job as head coach of the Buckeyes, but he hasn't won a championship yet. And at Ohio State, as great as he is, there's that pressure every year, right, to win a championship. Do you think he feels any pressure at all to win?
Adam, somebody asked me that earlier today.
Yeah.
And at his introductory press conference, he made the comment, the first obligation is to beat Michigan, and the second obligation is to win every other game. So he knows from day one. He knows what the pressure is. I mean, we all remember when people were flying banners over the stadium, they wanted to fire Woody Hayes.
Oh, yeah.
So he knows that. He embraces it. The players embrace it.
Yeah.
And, maybe the most telling thing at Big Ten Media Day, a month or so ago, Ryan Day made the comment, at a lot of schools, 11-2 and a Rose Bowl win would be considered a successful season. For Ohio State, it's not, because they didn't get a chance to play for a Big Ten championship, and they didn't get a chance to play in the playoffs. So he knows that. He understands it. He has, in a very short period of time, exceeded at a high level with being in the playoffs and playing for a national championship. But, they're motivated to take that next step and achieve the things that they didn't have an opportunity to do last year.
Well, have you ever seen an assistant coach pull off recruiting like Brian Hartline has done with this wide? I mean, it's ridiculous. It feels like their sixth best receiver is probably starting for 98% of the schools in America. What he's done at that position seems remarkable to me. Have you seen anything like this?
I don't think so. I mean, I think, Adam, when Kerry Combs was here, he did a great job of getting some defensive backs to come in. But, what Brian has done has been amazing, especially when you consider the ammunition he has. He played at Ohio State. He had success in the NFL. He's really gotten a lot of people's attention with how he's not only recruited the talent, but then how he's worked with them when they've gotten here. Yep. If you think back to last year in the Rose Bowl, when Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson didn't play, that opened the door for Marvin Harrison and Emeka Ibuka, and certainly Jackson Smith-Njigba, who set all kind of records during the season and in that game. So Brian Hartline is one of those high-rising names in the coaching ranks, but it's both doing the job recruiting and doing the job with developing this talent. Maybe the hardest thing he has is just keeping these guys patient so that they get a chance to have balls thrown to them.
Great point.
Hey, Paul, what about this? Because I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is set for a standout breakout year. And C.J. Stroud, that combination probably going to be the most lethal in NCAA this year. But are they prepared? You think they're prepared and ready to go? I know how the pressure gets ratcheted up in Columbus on star players, right? So you think they're ready to hold in and be okay down the stretch here?
I think so, Brad. And, they're at that point now, probably have been that way for a couple of weeks where, they're tired of banging against one another. They're tired of seeing, their teammates who know what they're going to do, both offensively and defensively. So, they're excited to see a different person that they have to defend, a different person they have to go up against. And certainly they're probably excited to be able to get into the stadium. They've practiced, I think, about 4 times in the stadium. Rave reviews about the new turf that's down in the Horseshoe. But, you guys have seen what it's like, a night game, the carnival-like environment that's there. And, these Ohio State teams feed off that crowd. So I think there's just the excitement to get out of the routine of what they've done. They've been a little more than a weekend class. So I'm sure the novelty of that's kind of worn off too. But, Brad, I think there's no question they're ready to see somebody else and stop going up against their teammates.
Okay.
It's Buckeye time.
Paul, we take a look at this, and the Heisman Trophy guys, Trayvion Henderson, Smith-Njigba, C.J. Stroud. Who do you believe has the inside track? Usually, traditionally, quarterbacks are there, but the 3 great candidates right there.
I agree, Garrett. I think quarterbacks always seem to kind of have the front leg up on when it comes to stuff like that. And because C.J. Stroud did it so consistently over the course of the year last year, he was one of the finalists last year. But certainly, I mean, when you think about what Jackson Smith-Njigba did last year, an Ohio State record, what was it, 95 catches, over 1,600 yards, went crazy in the Rose Bowl. Jackson is a guy that certainly could make a lot of noise that way. But we all know, too, that it is a byproduct of teams that have success. So when they have success, you hope that that's what happens. But here's the thing you really hope for, Garrett. You hope it's one of these Buckeyes so that Bryce Young at Alabama doesn't become the second two-time winner of the Heisman Trophy. Right. We want that to stay with Mr. Griffin.
Right.
Hey, Paul, before we go, our producer, Mikey McNuggets, just loves it when people of note say the word McNuggets. I think last week, who gave you the shout-out, the voicemail?
Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas did, and it made McNuggets weak. He just got in my ear and said, before we say goodbye to Paul, I just have to hear him say McNuggets. With that voice of God. It is the voice of God. So whatever you'd like to say about our producer down there in the bottom left, Mikey McNuggets, you'll make his day if you mention his name.
Well, that years ago, and I can't remember who the comedian was, I saw an act where somebody was talking about McNuggets, but he said they really should be called Chicken McBooty, because of what they do to your anatomy when you eat too many McNuggets. So work that one into the whole deal.
And that was actually less of a diss than Ryan Day came when he came on. He said, just work at McDonald's and get that NIL deal. So, Paul, thank you very much.
That's exactly right. Ryan Day told McNuggets he should have an NIL deal with McDonald's. Hey, Paul, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you having on. You give our show instant credibility. I mean, the second you open your mouth, people that are watching say, whoa, something's going on there. Something's going on there. Paul, thank you so much. Have a great call tomorrow. We'll all be listening.
Hold it down. I'll see you soon. All right.
Hey, you know what? It's going to be a good year for basketball, we think, but it's great to talk to you guys.
You see the shirt, baby.
Yes, it is.
Here, baby.
The great Paul Keels with us on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. What a voice. For one day, how much fun would it be to walk around with those pipes?
Oh, yeah. Listen.
I think you might walk around with him narrating your life.
No. That would be cool, too. But just to be able to go in, I would go through drive-through windows at wherever and just put my order in. So when I pull up, I know there'd be 5 people going, who the hell is that?
I watch the games now on TV
and listen to Paul.
His sound.
A lot of people do.
See,
yeah, a lot of people.
If I had his voice, I would have had a lot of children. They just running around, just multiple children. Just
all right, little Nick Cannon.
Yeah, Nick's got 10 now. 10's coming.
Shout out to Nick Cannon. He got the bag, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the money,
that's inappropriate.
Go ahead.
I heard coming into this interview that he had just an unbelievable voice.
Oh.
I haven't heard it in person.
Yeah.
That was the best voice I think I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding.
It literally is.
You have to wait for it on the call, Mike.
Oh, man, come on.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this.
Have you bought into because you're not from here and you came from Texas, where obviously football is everything. Have you bought into the Ohio State hype yet? How will you watch the game?
I'm going to watch it in my apartment because we're doing a post-game show after.
Oh, that's right.
I have to be very locked into it.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to go down to the whole. I love college football. I like
it's the best.
Yeah.
There's nothing better.
Get down there for a game.
Yeah.
Except for
Speaking
the NFL
of college
and MLB.
football, we have our next guest.
The atmosphere for college is the best.
College football brings something that no
It's
other
different.
sport in the United States
just
brings.
different.
It's that passion
Chance for only
in the
4 teams to
stadium.
win a championship?
No, it's the passion in the stands.
That's true. I agree with that.
The tailgating.
Yes.
I mean, we all
That
love
is
the
unmatched.
NFL, but for whatever reason, NFL stadiums don't even come close to
From
college
that
stadiums.
perspective, yeah. I mean, I like the NFL and baseball more as a sport.
The product,
but from
yeah.
that perspective,
but from a fan's
it's
perspective,
by far the best.
one of my favorite days as a sports fan is to wake up early, go down to the tailgates, anywhere in Columbus, make the walk into the stadium. You hear the band.
Yeah.
It's just a feel that is unrivaled.
Jay even knows you went to Bowling Green. It's
Right.
like that at every school when Ohio State played. Bowling Green.
Absolutely.
OU,
Yep,
Miami.
when Arkansas State comes in there,
Yeah.
you wouldn't know that it wasn't Michigan State.
The first Ohio State game I ever went to, Dustin and I went. They were playing Miami of Ohio, and Buckeyes were favored by like 50 points.
Right.
And we got to the parking lot maybe like 8, 9 o'clock that morning, and I was like, what the bleep is this?
Was that your first experience with a big-time college football?
Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Every
believe
friend that
it.
I've ever taken from the Northeast to a
it blew my mind.
They can't believe it. They're like, where in the world am I? And how did I not know about this?
And it was a nothing. It was against the team
Right.
you knew they were going to
Now
kill.
imagine what tomorrow's going to feel like.
Oh, my God.
And on
Or
that
the
note,
Michigan game.
we're bringing in our next guest, Robert Smith. And Robert, you're the perfect guy to ask this question to because you played very, very competitive high school football in a city at Euclid where, you know, it's like a religion. Then you went to Ohio State. You obviously had a terrific career in the NFL. Does anything come close, in your opinion, to running out of that tunnel at the shoe, looking up and seeing 100,000 people you don't know but could probably be your best friend?
Well, first of all, Jay, how do you do this to me? Welcome back, by the way. You haven't been around for the last couple of Welcome back. But how do you make me follow the Barry White of broadcasting?
Exactly.
Just smooth as silk with that voice.
It's
but
incredible.
You know what's interesting, Jay? First of all, let me back up to high school here. By the way, I just saw this on Twitter, on the Twitter machine. I think that what is it? The Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Yeah.
You're gonna check this out because it's my senior picture and it's
saw it.
hilarious.
Wow.
Oh my God. So this is it's the anniversary of the first nationally televised high school game, which was Austin Nation. Yeah. So, you know, you're absolutely right about Ohio State. There's nothing like it. And I remember the first time that I went to the shoe when I was in high school, and you have to I didn't grow up a huge football fan. Like I didn't in the sense that I was sitting there watching it constantly. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really get into Ohio State games until I started getting recruited. And so I went to my first game. I think it was my junior year, and I remember I was there with track coach from Ohio State, Bob Ramlow, and his wife, and we're watching this spectacle of the band, and I had never seen that before. I had never it wasn't something that I grew up because I wasn't a fan. Not that I wasn't a fan, but I wasn't an avid fan. I had never seen bands perform like that. But to experience that for the first time as
there it is.
Wow. What a stud.
Hey,
What a stud.
Hey, you can barely see it, but I got that little Russell Wilson little pencil thin mustache up there too. And by the way, so that wasn't my idea. So I got my senior pictures for free, and the guy wanted to advertise, so he had me wear the jersey. But I wasn't deciding to wear that jersey and have the football, although I did decide to have that sexy mustache.
That's one of the greatest senior pictures of all time, as far as I'm concerned.
That's a little Shamar Moore and I'll be sure in that.
Hey, we all wish we could have senior pictures as cool as that one.
You're stupid.
That's a great call. That's a great call.
Hey, I met Albie out in Las Vegas too, by the way.
Shout out to
You're a twin.
But Jay, you're right, man. The very first game day, walking out at Ohio State, and we didn't have. I wasn't there in the spring. They didn't do that then, having the early enrollees, but we had a little scrimmage, and in the middle of August, and there were probably 50 or 60,000 people there. But on game day, with just everything that's happening, from the moment you wake up in the morning and you leave that hotel and you're driving through campus and you're driving by, fraternity and sororities and, everybody's out front and, raising their early drinks on that morning. And then you get to the stadium and there's all the tailgating and everybody's out in the parking lot and everybody's lining the entrance as you're walking in. That whole buildup, I mean, it's almost indescribable, and I wish that everybody that was a fan of football could experience what it's like to walk out on any kind of game day. Yeah. But Ohio State game day is just different, man. And really all that build-up, and then you're sitting in the locker room, you're getting ready to go out when everybody's there, and even with all that preparation, just nothing can prepare you for what it's actually like to be stepping onto that field for the first time when you're getting ready to play a game, when you're 18 years old. I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible.
Hey, Robert, so, when I came back to Ohio State, I came from Wisconsin back, right? And so I went to Wisconsin football games on Saturday. And their atmosphere, I thought was
Camp
great.
Randall's nuts.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But it don't compare to Columbus. It does not. Robert, talk to the folks that are watching about this. The pressure of being an Ohio State football player, especially when you're supposed to come in here with all the bag, right? You're supposed to be the high-line player.
Yeah.
The pressure that's put on these players down here to perform. Talk about that.
And again, if you haven't been through something like that, it's hard to describe. And now I think in some ways it's more difficult for players, but in some ways it's easier. It's more difficult in the sense that you've got even more attention and it happens longer. But because it's just everywhere and people are on social media and they're hearing the criticism and they're hearing, the hopes and the expectations for the fan bases, they kind of can acclimate themselves to what it's going to be like to have that kind of pressure. But back then, I remember being on campus and for visits and just kind of hearing people yell out, and it was kind of surprising, but at the same time, it happens kind of gradually, because when you're in high school, you start to get some notoriety, and so there's an article here, or there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then of course when I was a senior in high school, us being the first team that had that level of national attention, the first nationally televised game, we had kind of built ourselves up into it. But as far as the pressure and the expectations, like, you feel more of that yourself. You just kind of put pressure on yourself. And, I think different athletes deal with it in different ways. But to me, it was always just motivation. Like, nobody is going to expect more out of me than me. So anything that I hear on the outside can't possibly be a detriment.
Robert, C.J. Stroud, speaking of pressure, it's always a lot of pressure being the quarterback for the Buckeyes. Heisman Trophy consideration expected. When you look at his game from last year, obviously he was great, but everybody has things they can improve in, no matter how good you are. When you look at his game, what's the part of his game you kind of got your eye on that you think, okay, he can get better doing this? Is there anything specific?
Well, any young quarterback, you want to speed up their processing. And processing really doesn't get sped up until they just have the reps. And it's really like any position, but it's more pronounced at the quarterback position. You just have to see certain coverages and certain rotations, certain blitzes a number of times, and you get more and more comfortable in the pocket, how you move, how you step up, how you slide, how you escape, which direction you go, how you keep your eyes downfield. But then the anticipation, things like that, I think that's something that you're going to see him do much better this year. The anticipation of not just what to expect pre-snap, because defensive coordinators, they're trying to do what they can to slow that process down. They want to slow down the processing of the quarterback, and that's giving a different look post-snap than pre-snap. But there are only so many ways to do it. And based on what they see in their progression, or if it's a defensive key read, whatever it is at the quarterback position, you want to see that anticipation. You can't wait for that window to be open. You have to anticipate that window opening and throw it there oftentimes before it's actually wide open. So I think that's something that you'll see out of his game this year at a more pronounced level.
Robert, this is a kind of philosophical question. If you had to say what Ohio State is known for most, would it be defensive backs, receivers, or running backs?
That's a really good question. Right now I have to say receivers. I mean, you look at, Olave and Wilson and Williams getting drafted, and those guys were drafted consecutively, right? And, I count him as an Ohio State receiver, even though he was at Alabama. To have that, and then to look at the roster now, we talked about this last week, and to look at the wide receiver core now and say, wait a second, the best guy might be here in Jackson Smith-Njigba. It's just insane, what they've been able to do, and I'm just amazed at the depth. And going back a number of years. I mean, it's been like this, and Brian Hartline has just done such an incredible job, I think, of just taking it to a level that we just haven't seen. So right now, I think it's definitely going to be the wide receivers that people are going to think about most. And, maybe, defensive backs, it's always going to be a little bit more difficult just because you're on the defensive side, because, even when you're playing well, unless you're doing something crazy like a Diggs down here in Dallas, unless you're intercepting a huge number of balls, people may not know you the same way. But I think what we've seen with this receiving core the last few years, I mean, it has to be wide receiver U.
Yeah, well, they've really put out great players at all three when you think about it. Robert, before we let you go, it's really difficult to handicap these matches between powers in week one because we think we know, but oftentimes we're wrong. We don't. 17.5 is a lot to give. Does this Buckeye team cover tomorrow?
I think that they do, and what's interesting about this matchup. This is the second straight matchup against an OSU for Notre Dame, but not the OSU, of course. But playing a ball game against Jim Knowles, and they did a pretty good job of moving the ball in that second half. Jim Knowles wasn't there as a defensive coordinator anymore. Right. He had already moved on to Columbus.
Still his defense.
Yeah, it's still his defense. And, they did a nice job of adjusting, which I'm sure Jim Knowles would have done if he was there as well in that second half. And, they played much better defensively. And I think Ohio State defensively, picking up the scheme is one thing. And I think some of the finer nuances are probably going to take some time. But I think athletically what Ohio State has defensively, they're going to match up much better, especially in what gave Notre Dame troubles in that second half in tighter man coverage. Now, obviously, a different quarterback, more mobile, so there are some challenges there. But I think athletically, defensively, Ohio State has a much better chance, and I expect much more out of them defensively against this Notre Dame team than what Oklahoma State was able to muster in that bowl game. And defensively, this Notre Dame team gave up 600 yards in that bowl game. And obviously Marcus Freeman's now the head coach of the team and got some continuity in the staffs and the way that defense is going to play and some of those guys back. But this is a much different roster than they had to face against Oklahoma State, and I don't see them. Unless there's something crazy, which can always happen with turnovers or huge special teams plays, and one missed tackle can be instant 6. If this game plays out the way I expect it to, with Ohio State running the ball, with Ohio State being able to throw the ball to multiple targets, I just don't see Notre Dame staying within 17.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Robert, last thing, Trayvion Henderson, how good is he? Like, is he going to be the next great running back in the NFL eventually? And how's the depth looking behind him?
Yeah, and I think that, definitely he's just one of those guys that just jumps off the screen. And I love seeing it, whether it was Zeke back in the day or J.K. Dobbins and, now Trayvion. They're just guys that look different, man. They're guys that look different the first time that you see him run the ball and that burst. And that lateral movement and the power and the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. And I think, like any position, getting the reps and seeing more things, players just get better and better. And, for me, watching him, I think he's definitely going to be a great NFL back. But, let's just worry about how he's going to play against Notre Dame and staying healthy right now. But, I really like mine behind them. They got some young cats that, can tote that rock too. So, obviously the offensive side of the ball has been stacked and, defensively, hopefully we'll see some of the same level of recruiting, especially in that front seven on the defensive side. But on that offensive side, man, they're just so stacked. It's crazy.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see that defense sort of catch up to the offense in talent, but it's tough. You got so many scholarships, and there are a lot of other teams going after all that talent. Robert, enjoy the game tomorrow. How are you watching tomorrow? What are you doing?
Well, I have I'll be watching some of it with the kids, but I love watching the games from home just because of what you get with the DVR.
Right.
When I'm walking I'll walk around with the iPad sometimes, but
Right.
we'll have some good food. We'll have our tailgate in the house here.
Very nice.
And we'll watch the game. But I'm looking forward to it. It's just amazing, these kind of environments, especially when you get night games and build up throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah. OH, brother.
I-O, boy.
I-O!
There you
it
go.
is.
Robert Smith, the legendary Robert Smith on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Enjoy the game tomorrow, Robert. We'll be talking real soon.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, Robert.
It's funny, as he was talking about Trayvion Henderson, and he said some guys just jump off the tape.
Yeah.
And it's fun to watch that burst of explosion. He was that dude.
Mm-hmm.
He was absolutely that guy. I remember watching him when he first came onto the scene at Ohio State, and I knew a little bit about him because he was an Ohio legend, not just on the football field but on the track. And I just remember thinking immediately, right away, here's the next in the great line of running backs at Ohio State. And when you think about it, that was such a good question because, my goodness, for a period, it was with USC, it was tailback you.
Tailback you.
Right.
And then with the Sean Springs and that crowd, when you think of the quality defensive backs that started coming through Ohio State, mid-90s into the 10s,
They still get first round.
they
draft picks.
still get first-round draft picks, and now it's
but
wide
now it's wide
receivers.
receivers
It's
moving
wide
ahead, I
receivers.
think.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It really is crazy. Are we going to do good bet, bad bet here? Or?
I got some questions, but real quick.
Okay.
Do you guys remember when Oklahoma came up to Ohio State, Baker Mayfield
Oh,
planted
yeah.
the flag?
I remember it
on
well.
the O?
Did he make a T-shirt of that?
I
now,
screamed
Baker?
that night, they better not draft this punk.
Well,
I screamed that night. I'm
Should've
like,
listened to
anybody
yourself.
but Baker.
Yeah.
well, he didn't make a T-shirt about that. But before we get back to Ohio State, did you guys see the T-shirt he released this morning? I think we have to just at least acknowledge this real
I
quick
did.
before Maurice Clarett comes
Oh,
out.
wait, did he release it?
He
He
endorsed it.
co-signed it. He
Yeah.
endorsed it.
I don't know if he released it.
Right,
We
yeah,
don't
there's
know,
a
we don't know
difference.
that,
There's a
but-
difference. He can say, hey, I like that shirt.
Well, he tweeted it after.
Right.
He
I haven't
posted
seen
it.
it.
He
It's
tweeted
the
it and said
place.
this is the only what was exactly he
Yeah,
said?
he
I don't-
probably-
Only legitimate place.
Show me.
He
show
partnered-
me.
Let's take tag board. Let's see it.
I ain't seen it yet.
It says off the leash with a dog chain on it.
Yeah.
Get your tickets for week 1 against the Browns.
So listen, I think this is actually cool and funny that he did it.
I thought this was
but
a dope
I don't
shirt.
want to hear this nonsense about he's matured, he's grown up, the media's out to get him to say things. He looks like there's no sense of maturity or
Yeah,
growing
you know
up.
what he is? He's a high school. He's a grown man trapped in a high school kid's body.
And I don't even care because I think it's funny.
Jay,
I think it's funny too, but it's not. I'm
Jay,
sure the
it's not-
Panthers are like, oh
Jay,
man.
Jay, it's not funny.
What
It's
are you doing?
juvenile.
It is.
This is juvenile.
I didn't
It
say
is
it was
juvenile.
funny.
No, I said no. Because
I said it was funny.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said this is juvenile. This is what it is, right? I like, okay, we
Right.
got it. You didn't like to be here. You wanted to move on. You got
Right.
your wish. You out the door.
Right.
I see you on the 11th.
I'll tell you
That's
this,
it.
man. You better put up.
He was so angry
You
about
better-
Cynthia Freeland, that I didn't say this, and then a day later he's hawking a T-shirt about he's
Yeah.
off the leash, like he had it so bad here.
What I didn't like about it was the connotation was that the system here stifled him.
Yeah, that's what's off.
We
the leash
saw
means, right?
OBJ, who was one of the most productive wide receivers before he got here.
Yeah.
And the narrative on OBJ was he's done. He's got nothing left in the tank. And then he goes to the Rams and would have been the Super Bowl MVP and had a lot to do with the Rams winning that Super Bowl, even though he played less than a half. So OBJ was the guy that was unleashed. And I think
Yes.
after watching all of that unfold, you realize OBJ here was a victim of Baker's inability to get him the football. That's fact.
Yes.
That's proven now.
Yes.
So I just think it's a bad look for a guy who right now should want to fly under the radar.
Right.
And he's basically flying with banners and smoke trails and everything else.
In the words
Go
of the
ahead,
wire,
you
in
got
the
one
words of the wire, they say
Which
this:
one?
see, when you come for the king,
Yeah.
you bet
Really
not
come in.
miss.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Now-
exactly right.
Now you can shoot. Hey, I like it. I like the spiciness, bro. I actually like
But-
the T-shirt
but he
too.
better deliver,
But
because if he
you
doesn't-
you better not miss.
Yeah, you're right.
How great would it be to see the Browns kick their ass and then all the Browns players wearing that T-shirt?
Baker
after the game?
Mayfield joins the list of the people out here in this country that feel they are aggrieved. I like
Yeah.
every time I turn
You know
around,
what?
you got
Let
something
me ask
that's
you
annoying.
this. I don't want to lump people together because I beat up Bull for doing that. But I'm going to do it.
Yo, but
Now,
I'm
no,
it's
but
wrong,
I'm
but I'm
about
going
to
to do it. Do you think that this is a generational thing? To me, and I'm sounding like the old man saying I'm taking my ball and going home, get off my yard. To me, that age group, in general, I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but it feels like they feel more entitled than my generation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I always felt like for our generation, Brad, and you're kind of in that, you're the next generation behind us. I felt like no one owed me anything. I feel like today's 20-somethings, early 20-somethings, and I think it's the Kardashian effect, to be quite honest. That generation watched the Kardashian family grow up and get bags of money for really not doing much. And now I think
for being
they think that I want that too.
Well, here's the difference. I'm a kind of tweener, and what happens is you guys got to realize, growing up now, you have everything at your tips. You got everything as far as your access goes.
Information.
And so even when it comes to sports, think about it. If you wanted to watch TV, they told you who you was gonna watch. You was gonna watch the Bulls and the Knicks. You was gonna watch Ohio State and Michigan. You was gonna see Notre Dame, and that was it. Nowadays, you can go on and you can see anything you want, and that gives you this level of superiority because they say, "Come on, what do you mean?" I always grew up.
Well, here, let me say,
I got options.
But here, to your point, we live in an instantaneous world, but it has to be checked, right? My own kids. I got one in law school. I have to check her, right? Because this is not. Listen, you got to get out here and grind, or you're gonna be a VOC. What's a VOC, Dad? You're a victim of circumstance.
Hey,
the only person who changes
so am I overgeneralizing when I say that's kind of a young person's thing?
Yeah, you could generalize about every group. I think, there's a lot of old people that are D-bags also. There's D-bags in every generation.
Yeah, I'm not calling young people D-bags.
No, okay.
I'm just saying, no, you're not. You're not.
No.
I just think in general,
I think
the Baker mentality is prevalent among a lot of folks that I see that are that age. Everybody's a victim. Woe is me.
Agreed, but he's the only quarterback doing that I see.
The one thing, because we got to move on, but the one thing I'll say is this here. Listen, Cleveland gave you an opportunity. Son, you just didn't get it done.
That's right.
That's all.
Yep.
You didn't get it done here.
He came close, and then it went south.
Right.
Let's get back to Buckeyes real quick. I got a bunch of questions we're going to run through. As soon as Maurice Clarett's ready, we'll bring Maurice on.
Okay.
But let's start with this one. Do you guys prefer starting the season with a primetime matchup against an elite opponent or a team considered elite?
As long as it's at home.
I 100%
do you prefer starting against an FCS cupcake like a lot of other?
No, I hate that.
That's a loser mentality if you want to play against the cupcake.
Especially if you're Ohio State. If you're Ohio State, you're in the conversation. I love that we're doing this at home. I also love that next year when we have to go to their place, it's week 2 or 3.
Week 3.
I love that because it gives us a little bit of runway to get ready for them.
Ohio State, in the end, even if Ohio State loses this game, if they win the Big Ten, they're still going to go to the playoff anyway.
You would think.
But
you would think.
I love my beef with college football is there's not enough games between powerhouse teams.
Right.
And so a game like this is exciting.
The system is set up so that it discourages you from taking any risk.
It does.
Right. So this is here. Be clear.
But if we had 12 teams in the playoffs, teams would be a lot more willing to do it.
I'm a through and through Buckeye. This is uncharacteristic of the Buckeyes stepping out here on a limb like this.
Now,
but they have done it in the past.
Yes,
they've done it in the past.
Rarely.
Yeah.
Rarely.
They got Texas, and then they did USC,
Yep.
and then they'll do, I believe, they did Oklahoma.
I did Oregon.
Oregon is coming up.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: the younger kids, we talk about the generational things. The reason why Ohio State is able to get these certain type players is because those young kids want to play these games.
That's right.
Yeah,
Look when they go to your house, they say, "Listen, we got first week Notre Dame." They like, "Well, sign me up," because they love that smoke. That's what the competition, the 7-on-7. They done recruited the world with all these kids. They grew up with them. They want an opportunity to play against the top flight talent.
Well, let me ask you this, Brad: when you're playing in the NBA, didn't you get more juiced up when you played another good team as opposed to some team that stinks?
You mean NBA games?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so much the team, it's the matchup.
Yeah.
I'm seeing here. This was
the individual.
Yeah, this was on my menu nightly. My checks. Dominic Wilkins, Larry Bird, James Worthy.
Right.
If you can't get fired up to see them dudes, Mark Aguirre.
Yeah.
If you can't get fired, Dr. J. Don't forget Dr. J.
Sure.
Kiki Vandeweghe. I mean, if you couldn't get fired up here to see that,
you had the ability to die, not just get beat. They would kill you. They gonna punish that.
You know what, though?
Died out there,
There's
bro.
a difference, Brad. I wonder if you're thankful that you're not playing now. Before, when Dr. J came through the lane and snuffed on you, It was over. It was like a tree falling in the woods. It happened and it was gone. Now it's a poster. It's a meme. It lives on social forever. It's on the internet. It's on YouTube. It's a whole different deal now when you lose, when you go up against the big boys.
So these young kids, as we get back to Ohio State, these young kids, to your point, they're enamored with this. They want to be in the atmosphere. They want to be in the
They want to be in that spotlight.
They want to be in that spotlight.
And here it is.
Problem with that is, though, you got to deliver.
Yeah.
Or they will. Guess what they will do? Even in Columbus, they will turn on you. They will quickly.
Well, shoot your shot.
So what you say?
You better not miss.
You want it?
You want the smoke?
And sometimes you might not be able to come back from that. It's a couple people that never made it back. Ask Florida State. they keep signing up for these matchups. You might want to get these Tennessee Chattanoogas. This ain't working out too well for you, bro.
Florida State and Florida were a thing, and now they're not.
No one knows about beating up on cupcakes better than our next guest, who beat up everybody when he played. Everyone was a cupcake, and that's Maurice Clarett.
Maurice.
Well, there he is.
How y'all doing?
What's up, Mo? How are you, man?
What's up, Maurice?
All is well. How y'all doing?
Hey, we're going to jump right into it. I mean, right into it. The Buckeyes winning this game, and are they covering? But 17.5 points.
Yeah, well, I think we have a chance to have two of the key players are down. I just left campus yesterday, and the atmosphere is going to be amazing. I think that you just have a lot of firepower on Ohio State's offense. I don't really see how you can overcome that if you're Marcus Freeman. Like, I talked to him earlier this week, and I told him, I wished him the best of luck. He's my guy. But I see Ohio State covering. I see them putting points up, but I just don't know how you match up. You have a premier quarterback, you have a premier running back, and you have a receiving core who are going to look and try to make their name in comparison to what the two young guys, Garrett Wilson and what's the other guy's name? Olave, yeah. They're going to try to make their name in comparison to what those guys did last year. And I think Marvin Harrison's son is in the group as well. So
right.
I think it's just you're going to have a night game. You're going to have a crazy atmosphere. And I just think that Ohio State has too much firepower for Notre Dame.
What was Freeman's? What was his demeanor?
Oh, Marcus, I'm a jokester with him. So I've known Marcus since he was getting ready to come to school. And I made a joke to him, and I was saying, like, hey, man, are y'all going to get this guy to tackle me, like bring him into practice to tackle me? So everywhere he's been, it's this running joke of, him sending me gear. Like, he sent me gear from Cincinnati, then Purdue. And then when he went to Notre Dame, I started laughing. I said, they really made you defensive coordinator. And then it's, special to watch him, become the head coach and what he's doing now. And so he was, real cool. He's serious, and he knows that it's a moment, it's an opportunity. And I know he with great intention he's coming to try to win, but I just think that when you have when you're outmatched and you're going to have Ohio State, like I heard some of what you all were talking about before they chime me in. Ohio State has had a reputation for not playing big games early in the season. It's sort of like playing like these cupcake teams, and they've heard it. And I've trolled them on the internet for a number of years about it. If you want to be, I'm a big football season. I just troll Ohio State a lot, all on purpose to say, man, it's only because when you go to these other schools and you speak, you become a guest speaker. A lot of these SEC schools, Alabama's and Georgia's and LSU, and all these guys down there, they say, hey, y'all don't play anybody. And so, just as a football player. You say, hey, man, you got to play somebody early on in the season to tune yourself up for, what you're going to see in the bowl game. Those SEC guys, they play a premier schedule for probably 90% of the season, and that's a fact. And if you're just a real fan and you want to be a premier level program, you have to play legitimate teams all season long. And a lot of these kids are getting ready to go to the NFL at Ohio State and most of these SEC schools. So conditioning yourself to play premier competition over an extended period of time should be part of what these guys plan to do, and I'm just happy that they're starting up for Notre Dame. I wish they had probably 2 or 3 more games. I don't think that all of the Big Ten is strong, but a large part is. And this is a school that expects to be in a national championship race, and hopefully they go out the first game and make a statement.
Maurice, 20 years. I think you're going to be down there for the 20-year reunion. Some of those memories, man, it's crazy that I could look back at it during that time period. And I could just remember when they were going to let you start. And now it looks like, freshmen start a little more often. But back then it was unheard of. The freshmen wasn't playing. Talk about some of the feelings that you had going into that first game and the atmosphere of just being on the field and being a freshman and being a guy that was going to get carries in the shoe, and you're 18.
Yeah, the night before I didn't sleep, and I think that was just like an anxious, nervous energy. And I was just listening to music, but then also looking at my playbook. And I think just for the first game, you don't want to do anything wrong, right? And so you're just going over the playbook. And, I studied I studied the game so much that I had read the playbook back and forth and back, and just making sure that I was prepared for it. And then when you walk in there, I don't care who you are. I don't care how many games you've played. When you walk inside of 100,000 people, and, I don't care if you've played for 3 or 4 years there, it just there's this euphoria and a pressure. There's like a superhuman ability that you feel like you have because you have that crowd behind you. But then there's also like a pressure where you say, man, I got to perform. And so going down there and knowing that, you had a bunch of people, prior to me, you had Jonathan Wells the year before who had done very well, and Michael Wiley and Pepe Pearson and Robert Smith and Eddie George and, all those guys who had came and had established themselves. And so knowing, and Tim Spencer, he was our running back coach at the time, he would just talk about the bar. The bar was set to be great at that position. And I knew that they had 3 running backs who they signed prior to me coming. So I know I had to make a statement, or, your opportunity can be taken away from you and give it to somebody, who's as old as you or as young as you, who would be there and, making a statement over the next few years.
Maurice, we just had Robert Smith on before, asked him about Trayvion Henderson. What do you see when you see him? You talked about all the great Ohio State running backs. There's been great ones before you. There's great ones with you. Great ones since you. How does he stack up based on what you've seen from him so far?
I think he's great. One thing about him, you have a home run hitter. And that's what's going to be problematic for teams. I wasn't a guy who can just grab a ball and rip it off 80 yards because I was that elusive or that fast. But this young kid is going to have a chance to probably break everybody's records. And the reason being is that, when you have a quarterback who can dictate coverage that you have, and you have a receiving core who can dictate, where defensive backs play and who's in and out the box, he'll get a lot of lanes. And that's what becomes, difficult for people. So, when I was playing and I ran the ball, like you say, okay, they have, 1-star receiver, and so we can cheat guys in and out the box for safety position. And, you might be able to be heavier up front and just different defensive schemes for different running backs. But when you have these guys who can stretch the field, and you have somebody who can place the ball in a place where they can stretch the field and they can get ugly real fast, and when the offense gets up on a defense, then the other team is starting to chase, it becomes a different deal. And this young guy, I think I seen him play in Indiana first. And when I seen him play in Indiana, I think he had 4 or 5 carries for 140 yards, and that's that's premier level speed. So just in context, these kids in college aren't slow. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But when you have kids who are ripping 40 and 50-yard runs, don't be surprised if he goes on and breaks a lot of people's records. And he just has he has the people around him to do so.
Hey Maurice, what about now? The college landscape has changed. How do you feel about the NIL era?
Do you need to ask me?
Yeah. Hey, Mo, I'm asking for a reason.
No, you know what he thinks?
Hey, Mo, we was 20 years late. Right. We were on the other side of that. You were on the other side of that. So I need you to come on and give me the real deal.
So, no.
20 years too late.
Yeah. I just did it. I was like, the irony, I was in Cleveland yesterday. I just did ESPN to do a special. They won't run it now, but they'll run it somewhere throughout the season. I just did a whole deal with them, not about this in particular, but I laughed like that because that was the question yesterday from them. And it's like, so, there's no bittersweet, but that's the only way you can describe it. Just some people just are just rules were different. You know what I mean? Like when you look back at it, I had a transmission problem with my car. That's what started all my issues. And I didn't have $1,800 to fix a transmission, nor did my mother have $1,800 to give me for a transmission. And just to see now that kids can, they can go get car dealership deals, or they can get different sponsors to align with them to represent their brands or to push their products or whatever it is. And so I think it's like the coolest thing in the world. And I don't think people realize a lot of these young kids will never go on to the NFL, to the NBA, or to some professional level.
Right.
And this may be the height of their earning potential based upon their athletic ability. And if like, I'm glad that it's viewed now like the regular world. If based on your value to an institution or to a business, and the complexity of your task and your ability to execute that task and your deliverables, you should be compensated accordingly. And this is what these kids do. They put people in seats. And you couldn't go get anybody out these stands who can do what these kids can do. And that's it. And just the same way as coaches, you don't have a lot of people who can coach these kids the way that some of these coaches are doing it. So my thing is always, like, there's nobody on that panel right now who I say, hey, how much do you make and why do you make what you make? It's always perplexed me that somebody cares so much about a young kid making money and it has nothing to do with them. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter when I go see, like, I don't see CJ Stroud on Saturday. I'm gonna say, man, he makes X amount of dollars. I don't care. I'm just there to enjoy the game and enjoy the kids. And, if these kids can take care of themselves and help their families and all that stuff, I'm all for it.
And you know what, Maurice, I got to throw this in on this too, because even back then, we letting them off the hook easy. Not only did they not want you to get paid, they looked at you as an unsurly thug or some ungrateful kid from the inner city.
Ran them out of the sport.
And they talk bad about you. Like, these ungrateful, these disloyal. I'm like, these people, and it's some of the same people that's quiet as hell right now. Looking around. Hope they don't pull that tape up, because I sure told Maurice Clarett he was a jerk from $5. It's crazy, bro. And a lot of these, we need to get some resumes out on these cats, because a lot of people was acting like they've been proud of people making money. No, 2 years ago, you didn't want nobody making no money, and you said so. So it was ridiculous. I'm just going to throw that there.
No, I will tell you, since I met you, you're probably one of my favorite follows on the internet in general. Right?
He keeps it real.
He's the people's champion.
He's definitely my champion. He's probably one of the people
I'm
going to
still
search
poor.
through the timeline.
It's cool.
For.
It's all right.
I just said, I think, like, just like with everything, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that we wish that we can do faster. And there's a lot of people who, I just happen to be the popular guy who didn't benefit from it, but there's a lot of guys who could have used help. And there's a lot of people who criticize. But for me personally, my redemption in all of it is that my life is in order. You know what I mean? And so regardless of bad decisions, regardless of irresponsible stuff that was done on both ends by me and by them, and just no matter what happened, like it doesn't bother me just because I just, it happens and life is great for me now. But it's other people who didn't get through it, and it affected in a negative way, and people did have harsh words for it. Yeah. But I don't know. Like I read a lot about. Like, you'll find that now that you'll spend more time around me, I always reference like spiritual information, right? I read a bunch of books on spirituality and consciousness, right? And so I just would rather focus on the good, right? I'm just happy that the kids are getting the money now.
That's it.
I'm happy that, I'm happy from there because I can get like into a rock and sock and fight with everybody.
But people are still complaining. People are still complaining that, it's unruly, it's out of control. I mean, so what?
Yeah.
I think guys should make whatever the hell they make.
and you know what? We're getting closer to that.
I don't care if schools pay them. I don't care if they hand them cash. I don't care what they do.
Maurice,
who gives a crap?
I may have told you this before. One of my favorite sayings in the world is how I live my life. I think you're there too. Hate corrodes the vessel that carries it. Like, if you're filled with hate, it's going to rot you to the core. And if you have to unlock the hate and let it go. It will heat you up from the inside out and destroy you. And I know that you were in that place at one point. You're clearly not now. But I got to ask you this. You're back for this 20-year anniversary of the national championship. And I can't think of another person that can go to another place on the planet that can experience unbelievably high memories and gut-wrenching low memories like Columbus and Ohio State must elicit for you. Right. What do you imagine this weekend is going to be like tomorrow? What is that going to be like for you as you have this flood of emotion and memories, both good and awful, wash over you?
Crazy.
Yeah, well, it started, believe it or not, it started 2 or 3 days ago. And just for reference, and I'm not letting any cat out the bag, but ESPN, the irony is that ESPN had contacted me and they said they wanted to do like a follow-up in comparison to the last 10 years, or to the last 10 years, right? And so they got with me, and out of all people, Gene Wojciechowski, who I didn't have a great relationship with before,
Right.
we had got together and we had did a story. And I didn't like him for personal reasons around a one-and-done story he had done on me.
Mm-hmm.
But spiritually, I remember Mike Tyson said it to me. He said, man, everything I hate, I make sure I get closer to because I want to figure out why I hate it. And I learned that from Mike a couple years ago. And I said, man, why do I keep on resisting or hating this man for something that happened 20 years ago? So I got around him. And as he was catching up with me in my life, like something spiritual over me came. It was like, man, like let little stuff go, let like nuance go, let like just stupid problems go. And I told him, like, when we were sitting down one-on-one, I was like, man, I'm happy that I had a chance to spend time around you as an adult because I didn't realize I felt like this way for nothing. And, he was 20 years ago and I was 20 years ago and whatever happened. And what ended up coming from it was just like going down memory lane of just all the things that had happened to me in my life and the things that started to happen, like all the things that happened at Ohio State, the bad and then the good that's happening in my life now. And, I had moments, man, where, 10 years ago I was selling T-shirts outside of the stadium, just getting out of prison, just trying to figure my life out. And then, now I'm in a drastically different situation. And just all of what took place during that time. And, I didn't even realize it then, but, we lost 4 football players, Will Smith, Shane Olivier, Ivan Douglas, who's there from Cleveland, and Mike Kula. He's a guy who came in with my class. And so all of that stuff and just all of my personal experience, it was just wow, and I would be lying to you if like 10 years ago it didn't mean too much because you had Trussell on the backside of his deal, and I was still just trying to figure my life out after prison. But I was working out one of these mornings, and like almost like in like a heroic sort of like movie way, where you feel like, man, like this shit or the stuff actually worked out. Me getting my life back in order, me focusing on doing the things that it takes to get your life in order. All of the time invested into doing like repairing my life, all of it worked out. And walking back with a bigger sense of pride, and my mother being able to see it, and my brother flew in from Nevada. He came in and he's been able to see it. And I got 2 kids, or I got a third kid on the way later on this month. But my daughter, she's 16 now. She was 6 when I went back last time, and they were still living in Omaha. But then I got a 3-year-old son, and so just things worked out, and it feels good. And you don't get too many of these moments, and then you walk in a stadium where. And I'm not just sure people realize this. It's a lot of time. Like, I don't care whatever sport you play, and if you've ever went on any championship run, there's a lot of extra work. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of seriousness. There's a lot of meetings. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of overcoming self-doubt. There's a lot of everything. Then when you leave there, and then when you deal with the media, you deal with questions, and you deal with character assassinations, and then you deal with stress and depression and drinking and drugging and overcoming that. That's all a part of my life. That's not like a movie and a fairy tale, like some Disney fairy tale. It's like a real thing. And so, I don't know, a lot of people don't get a chance to get to this moment. And so I've definitely started it prior to this. I definitely had a moment where tears came down from my face more from being happy for myself that that you actually grew up and just became a responsible citizen. And then, and then now just like the day will be part of it. Later on tonight, we go to a reunion with all the players. All the players will be there, Coach Trussell and D'Antonio. And some of these guys are still coaching then. They were still coaching during the 10-year reunion. But now, Coach Trussell's about to retire. And then I think it's like 30 or 40 of the players will be there. So We'll have that. But there's nothing like being back in the stadium. I say this with pride, and I don't know if I'm speaking too long, but I take it serious, man. I never played for money. I never was one of those guys that said, hey, man, I want to play to get rich. I played for, like, just pride. Like, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. I played football in Warren. And people play for, like, pride and who was better and who worked the harder, who put in the most work to become that guy. And I just remember, like, there was poor people who like, back then you could afford a ticket for, like, $50, $60, $70. And I remember people who were, and I say poor, that's a bad word, but people didn't have really the means, but they would appreciate you for working, for running hard, and it was like the greatest thing to happen to them. And like I played for that. And even as I'm talking to you right now, I can feel when I say that, because I can remember a man, he had 3 little kids and looked like they didn't have too much, but this Buckeye experience was everything to him. And so like I was into playing for that, not necessarily like, you know, like I want to be the cool kid or anything. And there's nothing wrong for people who do play for that, like do it for whatever you do it for. And so when I think about the memories, or when people ask me to be like they was asking me to be involved in certain events, I say I don't want to come to that because this thing means more to me. I don't want to be a part of like somebody's circus show. Like this thing actually means a lot to me. Where you couldn't pay me to be a part of something. Like I really love it. You know, I got pride for Ohio. I love all Ohio sports, even though I got a Raider shirt on.
I saw that.
And no, I went out there to speak for him, and Josh is my guy. But you know, I'm from Ohio, bro. I'm from Ohio. I'm happy to be from Ohio. I love all Ohio teams. I was a Youngstown State fan at first when they were winning all the championships in Division I AA. That's me. I'm proud to be from Ohio, in Ohio. That's me. And so, I don't know. Well, everything I just said, that's what's in my mind when I go into the stadium. And the people who appreciate it, you'll see them. You'll see. I got a different fan. Like my fans, like deeply love me. And they don't care what I do. They like, I just love like the effort that you have. I have like it's different. Like you'll see, like if you're ever around, like people like love me differently than somebody who just played a sport. I don't know. And it's more connected to life. And like, I'm happy you didn't give up on yourself and like life and effort more than a football and a touchdown. But you know, whatever.
Yeah. Well, enjoy tomorrow. I'm sure you will. And take in those cheers, because I can't wait to see the shoe react to you the way I know they're going to. Before we let you go, I want to quickly show a piece of tape. We talked about the NIL deals. I think you've probably seen this by now, but Steve, if we can run the clip from CJ Stroud sort of sharing that NIL love yesterday, and then I'll get you to comment on the backside of it, if we can roll it.
I just wanted to do something for the team, so I got everybody a $500 gift card to go to Express. Get y'all own suits, man. Make sure y'all really get some suits, man. Look fly, man. Make sure we all look at the team. So family on 3, 1, 2, 3.
That's close to $50,000 that he just gave away.
Yeah, so that contradicts to the point that all these young kids will get this money and just do something foolish, right? Right. He took an opportunity that was created for him, and he made other people feel good. There's a lot of good you can do with money. Like just because you're able to make money, it doesn't. You shouldn't make the assumption that some kid will be irresponsible just because he has some resources. But I looked at it two ways. Yeah, I mean I know the family who owns the Express brand here in Columbus, and I'm proud that they did that with him, and I'm proud that he was able to make that happen. So, like, it just proves a point, man. You can do good and make a whole lot of people feel better. I think the Deion said, you look good, you feel good, you play good. So whatever Deion said back in the day.
It's true. It's very true.
You got a great attitude, man. I'm going to tell you what, man. There's a lot of people that would have not made it back to where you at, right? I mean, it's a testament. And reason people mess with you like that is different, because we know what the circumstances where you come from. There's a lot of people that come from them same circumstances, and a lot of people don't understand if you make it past 25 or 30 and you here still breathing, that's a thing. Not only did they take your money, they took your money, they tried to assassinate your character, but the thing that was crazy is now you look back at it and you doing better than you ever done in your life. And it was without football. It's in business. It's in relationships. And that's a testament to show every education don't have to be in the school. Education could be in life lessons, and you graduated with honors.
Value to it. So, Maurice, I want to just say this to you, is from one Buckeye to another, your testimony, right? I appreciate what you did for me in Warrensville with them kids, right? I appreciate that.
Yeah, you brought me up there, yes.
Right. So, but I'm going to just say your testimony is a beacon for all these other kids out here, because they don't know the pathway. You've seen the good, bad, and ugly. You've been on top, been on the bottom, and somewhere in between. And look how you came out on the other side, right? You just keep doing what you're doing.
He's a winner.
Yeah.
Oh, we love you. You know
like
that.
I said, yep.
We got to run.
Thank you.
But
hey, wait.
Yep.
Maurice is going to be with us every week during football season.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, welcome to the fam.
Get in the building on radio.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, every chance I get to get up there, I promise you I will be. But I just enjoy and it's cool what's going on up there, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, we're thrilled to have you.
Yes,
Mo,
sir.
enjoy tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Listen closely to those cheers. Listen closely to them because they're coming from folks' hearts.
Yeah.
Take care. Enjoy the game tomorrow. OH.
I.O.
There you go, brother.
Nice.
There you go. Maurice Clarett.
When did you say he was going to be on, Mikey, in the football season?
He's going to be on one day
Once a week.
every week during the football season.
Nice.
Yeah.
Finalizing the day. We think it'll be Thursdays. but
Yeah.
it could
Hopefully
change.
later in the week, obviously, as you get closer to college football. I think Thursday or Friday, either one is good.
I think now it's Tuesday. I'm thinking.
I was hoping it would be later. The reason being, like, a lot of times at ESPN, we would go really hard Thursday on college football, even though it was 2 days away, because Friday we went really hard on NFL.
Yeah.
So it's, and I
It'll
know
be
on
Thursdays.
Friday we'll be going deep.
will be
on
Thursday.
It will be
Okay,
Thursdays.
Thursday's perfect.
Oh,
I think that's great.
good.
I'm glad you said what you said.
You got a testimony.
Maurice does a ton of what he did for you that people don't even know about. If you call Maurice and you say, hey, listen, I would love for you to tell your story to a group of kids, he's going to make it work. He may not be able to get it in on his schedule when you need it, but if you work with him long enough, he's going to do it. He's not going to do it for money. He's not going to do it for attention. He's not going to do it for any other reason, because he believes that he has an obligation to give back. And he might be, and this is going to sound hyperbolic, he might be one of my favorite athlete/people that I've ever got to know really well.
I had a slot set up for Maurice to come speak to the Warrensville community and a bunch of kids at high school some years ago, right after he was just coming out of his situation. And I set up for him to just come do an hour. You know, he agreed to do an hour, right? And so he stayed for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet he went way longer than that.
2.5 hours, and the place was riveted.
Yeah.
The audience was riveted. It's just like when you guys had him on the first time when he was on the set.
Yeah.
People at my job were like, "That's unbelievable."
His story is amazing.
The testimony is
Brad,
unbelievable.
as somebody you've devoted the bulk of your post-playing career
Public service.
to public service and to making young people's lives as good as they can be. How do we tap in to not just Maurice, but others like Maurice, and get them in front of more people on a regular basis? It almost seems to me like we pay all of these public people, but, and I don't mean to diminish politicians at all.
Right.
And you're different because you also have a pro story and a personal story that people can grab onto. But we spend a lot of our public dollars paying the director of this and the director of that and this and that, when in reality, I feel it's people like Maurice that can have more impact on the future of our country and our young people than any of these people that we're paying collectively millions or billions of dollars to. How do we tap into that more?
Well, we have to make the reconnection. It's for me. To me, I always feel like I owed the people that gave me an opportunity to give the life that I had. Right. And so those were the young people in Warrensville that were opening doors for me at rec centers at times that shouldn't have been open. And so I felt like there was a way to give back. And most players that I know, they come from situations that they would participate in. But the system sometimes, the professional system has separated, tried to separate that athlete
100% agree with that.
Because they feel like when the two worlds combine, something bad is going to happen in it. And so we say, I live on the east side. Well, now you move out to Elyria. You stay in Elyria, or you stay in Westlake, right? But I'm not from Westlake. I'm from Shaker. I'm from Bedford, right? And my connections up. Well, no, you live over there, right? And it's just I'm just not disparaging a location.
No.
But it's the separation. I don't care if I was in Chicago. Don't go to South Side Chicago.
Sure.
Don't go downtown Chicago.
There's stigmas that come along with that.
Stay out Northbrook. Stay over there, right? And the separation. So now you get people real angst about I can't trust anybody around here.
People need to be able to touch you.
Right. And
This dude can change people's lives by the thousands.
Jay, are the ones that can reach out to. I think of Jim Jones, Austin Carr.
Yes.
You can reach out and touch them.
Sure.
Right. That's how I grew up. I touched them when I was young. Right. So I would listen to them. That's why I brought Maurice in. I said, Maurice, tell your story.
I bet every kid that was there remembers it vividly.
Right.
And it probably changed a lot of kids' lives.
Douglas, you got something?
Yeah, you know who else could change lives?
What's that?
Tyvis Powell.
No question.
National champion, MVP Tyvis. Save us here, brother.
Tyvis,
look at him.
Hey, Tyvis.
Tyvis, what shoes you got on? I need to see. You playing around. I can't see them. What you got?
Hold on. Okay.
You got the house slipper on.
Hey, Tyvis, here's the important question.
I knew you like that. You know what? Hold on. First of all, let me address something. This was on my mind yesterday. Garrett, I can't even call you G. Garrett, who do you think you are? Gonna call me out on social media? You don't want to play those designer games with me, okay?
He called you out? You called him out?
What did you do?
Man, what? Bull, he got a whole tweet and everything up there reciting battle bars and all kind of stuff.
Oh, he woke now. He woke up. I told you September coming. Tyvis, September coming. It's here.
I don't play fair. I don't play fair, and I don't play children's games.
You're a grown man.
Tyvis, are you more excited about the start of the Buckeye season or the Donovan Mitchell trade right now?
Ooh. Oh, the Buckeye season, man. That's the Buckeyes is near and dear to my heart. Obviously, I played there, and I'm a football player. I mean, boy, let's be realistic. I'm a football player. I'm excited to see football. I want them to change the tape. I'm so sick hearing how soft they is or how the defense ain't this. I'm so sick of that. So I know, because I didn't talk to some people over there, they didn't went back to the all season, like it went back to the tough love. Coach Mick, the strength coach, that went back to 2013 and 2014 Coach Mick. So it's going to be a rough off season for them. I know they're ready to get back out there. It should be a mean team. And they should, they're going to handle business, man. It shouldn't even be close.
So you're taking the points, right?
You're laying the points.
The points.
The points ain't enough. That ain't enough. We need more.
I agree with you. Listen, I agree with you. Ohio State traditionally isn't a team that will blow out an opponent early, a good opponent like this. I don't think it's going to be close. I hope I'm not wrong and eat my words on Monday, but I think this Notre Dame team just doesn't have the firepower.
It's one of those ones that everybody, if you've been an Ohio State fan, you know how traditionally it's going to go. By halftime, it might be a 7 to 10 point game, but that second half, they're going to make them checks and them adjustments, and they just going to roll because it's too much. It's too much. And the biggest challenge, though, because I was doing some research on this, that according to the number is a line in college football, and number 2 is Notre Dame. Oh, wow. So it's going to be interesting to see if this defense.
We got like 10 houses. Hey, Maurice, come on, dog. You stay in Oklahoma, but then you live in New York, but you be here every week. I'm confused. I need to understand.
Got a private jet.
But I will say this, Tyvis. I'm missing that support from the secondary where, back in the day where even him and Malik Hooker and Kurt Coleman, guys was taking the football away. Do they got somebody back there that you looking at that can be one of them type guys that can take it away and knock you out a little bit?
Well, I mean, when you look at their secondary, I think they all are talented. I mean, you got Denzel Burke, who was a freshman last year, but he was really like that guy. Now, granted, he didn't get that many interceptions, but a lot of people didn't go at him. He established himself early as that guy that you don't try. So it goes to the other side of the field where you got Cam Brown and Jordan Hancock who has to make those plays. And I think they have the ability to. Cam Brown was a guy who's like really fast, but he had that Achilles injury like 2 years ago. And last year he was his first year back on the field. So I think that's kind of why he was a little hesitant. Jordan Hancock is the guy that I've been hearing all season. They talking about he that deal. You understand me? So I need to see it. I seen it a little bit in the spring game. But as far as getting the ball back, I mean, you got Ronnie Hickman. The problem is they all seem like they tacklers. But I will say that has to do with the defensive scheme that they was running. With Jim Knowles, Jim Knowles is coming in there, and he's the master of disguise. That's what I call it. Yeah. He going to have them quarterbacks so confused that a lot of times that quarterback going to be thinking they in cover 2, they in cover 1. He going to throw the ball straight to somebody. Now, listen, Buckeyes, don't be surprised when this happens because it's happened to me before where it's just you can't believe that a quarterback would literally throw you the ball, but it happens a lot. Just make sure you catch the ball, and so you don't drive. You don't win the drive off behind.
Hey, Tyvis, let's talk about the exciting part of football offense. Enough of this defense nonsense. We know.
Whoa! What's going on? So defense don't win championships no more?
No, it doesn't. This is not 1986. Come
Shots
on,
fired.
Calm down. Listen.
Georgia won it all last year. That's all I know.
Who cares? It's a new year. Let's forget about Georgia. Listen, we know about all the skill position players, but what about the offensive line? Are you have any concerns about the starting O-line at all? They're a little young on the left side.
Yeah, well, last year they was doing this big experiment. You know, traditionally you want your tackles, guards, and center. Well, last year they went, you know what, F that. We just gonna go with our best 5 players, our best 5 offensive linemen, and they all happen to be tackles. So now Paris Johnson Jr. played left guard and he was out of position, but naturally he's a tackle. So now he's going back to his regular position, which is left tackle. And if you check draft boards, they got him like the top tackle in the draft this season. So look for him to have a outstanding season outside of just this game. Then you think of Dejuan Jones on the right side. The dude's like freaking LeBron James size playing right tackle. The dude like 6'9", 300 pounds. So ain't nobody coming. That right side is sold up. Now, what they did do is they got those traditional guard bodies back in there, and that is what's going to allow Trayvion Henderson to open up them lanes so Trayvion Henderson can hit that. I seen Maurice talking about how Trayvion got that home run hitting speed. Yeah, he definitely got that, and that's what I want to see this offense go back to being a balanced offense. Like last year, I think they just said, you know what, C.J. Stroud is our best player. We're just going to put the ball in his hand. And it's a big 7-on-7, and rightfully so. I mean, you got Garrett Wilson and Olave and JSN. You got to feed them. That's your horsepower. You got to feed that. But I think now, if you want to play late into the season, you got to get Trayvion involved, and I think that's what we're gonna see tonight. I think they want to get back to being that old traditional Ohio State team where they can run the ball and be a balanced attack. Because if you're a balanced offense, how do you prepare for that as a defensive coordinator?
So, Tyvis, who you think tomorrow has the pressure to perform tomorrow? Is it Ryan Day? Is it C.J. Stroud? Who's got to – because you know how the Buckeye faithful are in the building, right? So, who's got to get out to a good start?
It's neither one of them three-headed monsters on offense, I'll tell you that. It's really the defense. The entire defense is the ones that all the pressure falls on. Because this season is going to ride or die with the defense. You thought about last year. We had a great offense. But offense is not going to get it done. I don't care what bull over there talking about. Offense is not going to get it done. You have to play some type of defense. And the reason that they've been falling short is because the defense hasn't been up to par. It hasn't been offense for a long time. So all the pressure is on the defense, particularly that defensive line. Because if they, as you know, as we've seen with Georgia, and even when Chase Young and all of them was there, if you got that game-wrecking defensive end that's in that backfield and penetrating and causing the quarterback to mess up and getting TFLs, you'll win those games by 50 points. So it's all have to be on the defense.
All right, it's money time. Let's talk about this. Money time. O-State got a lot of people, right? They always got somebody top 3, top 2. They already over the draft board. But O-State be so deep, this was nerve-wracking. It's always 2 or 3 guys that they got that you have no clue about their names. They play the first game and they ball out and they going to make themselves a lot of money. Give me a name of somebody who we have no clue who they are today, but next week you're going to say you're going to get that money.
That's easy. Julian Fleming. Julian Fleming is a guy who's been hurt. He was probably the highest. Y'all don't know about this. He's been hurt. He's been hurt.
Yeah.
So
but we know what the expectations are.
Exactly. Okay, you don't want to go him, you could go with Emeka Egbuka. That's a guy who's also been in the return game. And if he gets that ball in his hands, they say he got like Terry Glenn speed. Like he ridiculous. So that's another name.
He got a single digit. He better be good. That number 2. That number 2 is classic.
He done switched to that deuce. Listen.
Yeah, you don't get deuce.
Football, if you get that deuce, you got to be that
you better be that guy. Yeah, that's like one at Michigan.
Yeah. That's
McNuggets has something for you, Ty.
Yeah, well, just on Julian Fleming real quick. When I went down to shoot the softball game with Tyvis, Fleming and Jackson Smith-Njigba were there. And Fleming struck out his first at bat and then hit a home run. So
over the fence?
Over the fence, legit home run.
So Tyvis, he should be playing baseball instead of Tyvis.
Whoa!
Tyvis hit that line ground ball, that hard hit ground ball that went into center field.
That was a fielder's choice.
This is what I do. I make great baseball, high IQ plays. That's me. That's what I do.
Yeah.
If we need something to happen in the clutch, guess what I do? Come through every time. You better go check.
Go trim that beard up. Go trim that beard up. How about that?
Ooh, it's a little scrub.
Look a little scraggly.
It's football season. You know?
It's a little Teddy Pendergrass in that.
McNuggets now has a question for
I
you.
hate y'all.
Tyvis, I do have a question. You may hate us more after this, but would you start on this Ohio State team this year?
Easily. Listen, you need a guy who is let me paint this picture for you. All right, let me I gotta cross my legs on this. When you want a guy who, one, is dependable, knows the playbook like the back of his hands, you're essentially a coach on the field, you know? So if things don't look right, you don't have to stress, you know? You get a look out there, that guy that can get everybody to play correctly. Then, on top of that, if they're not playing up to their standards, you need a guy that's going to get into this defense, that's going to motivate these guys. Now, granted, it's Notre Dame, so they shouldn't need any added motivation. But you know how these kids are nowadays. Yes, these kids. Yeah, so, you know, you need that guy that has that leadership. And on top of all of that, when you need a big play made to swing momentum or win a game, who's better than me? I mean, I'm just –
And by the way, like, even if, like, first of all, it's an insulting question that Mike asked because obviously Tyvis could start on this team. However, even if Tyvis couldn't, he of course would say yes anyway. What are you talking about?
I would not. That's not true. I would.
You 100% would.
If you ask me would I start on the Browns today, I would tell you no because they don't need me as safety.
But could you play Major League Baseball right now?
Easily.
Oh my God!
That's absurd.
If you close your eyes, you think you talking to Derek Jeter and Charles Woodson. Jeter Woodson.
Wait, I got a
hotline right here.
Bull. This one is for Bull.
Yeah.
Bull.
Tyvis Judge.
Yeah.
Am I better hitter than Austin Hedges?
Hey,
No.
Tyvis, I'm gonna keep him on.
Wow.
Hey, Tyvis, I'm gonna keep him on.
He's a major leaguer.
Tyvis, they on you over here.
He's a major
leaguer.
He's a bad hitter for major leaguers, but he's still a major leaguer.
He's about to leave over that.
Tyvis, I could have played.
Tyvis, I love you. You're a great athlete.
Didn't work out.
You wouldn't get a single hit in Major League Baseball.
Listen,
Tyvis, the Cavs need a fifth starter.
Oh, I see. I'd be a 3-and-D guard easily.
Tyvis Powell, listen up here. I'm guarding your back over here. They knife you in the back over here, bro. I'm guarding your back over here, right? They killing you over here. Now you Jeter Woodson, Judge, Jeter,
Tyvis Judge,
Garland,
Ken Griffey III. Ken Griffey III is what I go by.
Tyvis Otani. He does it all.
That's fine too. That's fine. You got to do both, offense and defense. Just saying.
You know what, Ty? I'm just glad you don't lack confidence. I love you just the way you are, bro. It doesn't matter to me.
To play DB in the NFL, you have to have confidence, which is funny. Which is funny because I never always had this confidence. I didn't. Actually, my career would have been a lot better if I was this confident from like college and like my first couple of years in the league. Who knows? You wouldn't even know. Y'all would be talking about me instead of with me if I had this confidence back in the day.
You're right. It is Deion Sanders-esque.
Very much. Yeah.
Very much.
Philosophy lesson.
Y'all is hilarious, man.
Hey, who were we talking about Saturday night as the player of the game? Who is it?
Well, I personally would love for it to be Trayvion Henderson, just for the fact that I want that run game to be there. I want it to be established. Because if we after us losing the team up Notre Dame, why was it so bad? The fashion that they won the game, it was so dominant. They ran the ball and they played great defense. And if we can run the ball, if you can't stop the run as a team, if you can run the ball down somebody's throat, it's a dominant performance. Like you own them. There's nothing that they can do. They can't stop you.
You win in the trenches.
I would love for it to be Trayvion Henderson because Notre Dame will feel that for the rest of the season. They'll be like, man, we not as good as we thought we would be. And everybody will look at the tape and be like, oh, we're going to run the ball.
Tyvis, if you was getting an IL, how much money would you give your teammates?
Oh, man, listen. So I learned about this. I had dinner with at the 100-year shoe thing, and I was talking to a couple of the players that was there, and I was like, how does the NIL work? Like, how do y'all get y'all deals and stuff? Well, I learned that it was all based off of, like everything, it's all off of social media followings and stuff like that. So if you ain't got a ton of followers, you ain't getting a big deal.
You get no money.
And in college, I was in the thousands. I wasn't in the tens of thousands and stuff like that. So I had, got me a little deal. Got a little deal. I wouldn't have been broke, but I wouldn't have been bald. I wouldn't have been no millionaire or anything like that. But
what'd you think? What'd you think of CJ passing out those gift cards?
$500 gift card, CJ Stroud.
Well, he's an ambassador for them. So I mean, it's the least he could do, right? He looked out for your guys. You know what? It shows that if I get on, I'm gonna put my boys on too. Like, that's what you want in your leader. So it was nice to see him do such a thing. Yeah, it's like if I cut a deal with Canes, like, I'm getting everybody free Canes. It's on me tonight.
All right, I'm coming through Columbus tomorrow. Make sure I get some Canes.
If you ever get a Jordan deal, if you ever get a Jordan deal, the first thing I'm gonna do is hate for at least 2 weeks. Then I'm gonna call you and say I need them to be at my house. I'm not gonna take no for an answer. I need them at my doorstep.
Jordan should have been sponsoring me back when I was playing. We would have. Jordan, hold on. Jordan's worth like a Billy right now. I could have got him too.
Do you really want me to deliver that message?
No.
Hey,
don't
tell him, Brad. He really dropped the ball on this. Like,
you messing it up for all of us. Stop it.
Hey, Tyvis, what does your wife have to say about this unbridled confidence?
He's talking in the basement, man.
I'm downstairs. I can't.
In the basement. That's how it is.
Loud, boy.
His entire energy changed.
You're like, whoa.
It's like you got unplugged. Oh, yeah, I got a wife.
Like it's Friday. I'm going to just tuck mine in. Tuck my chain in.
Hey, I forgot. She probably can hear me. She probably up there shaking her head right now.
She's definitely shaking her head right now, yeah.
Oh, that's too good.
My wife knows. She knows that I'm good. It kills her because she don't really want to admit it because she know that I'm like this person. Yeah. So it hurts her to give me a compliment. But it's just some things that's undeniable, Jay. It's just you can't help it. You got to say it because it's the truth. You can't lie.
You can't lie.
Why do you really believe you could hit better than Austin Hedges right now in the majors? Right now today?
Yeah. Yep,
sure really can. Believe
Guardians, get with me. Have your people contact my people.
Anthony,
and
out there.
Ty, if we give you 100 major league at bats, how many hits are you getting?
100. Listen, Jay.
Let's get him a weekend.
He can't even
get one.
A weekend tryout.
Would he get one, Jay?
No, he wouldn't get one because you'd get lucky. He would get lucky. He'd sit on a fastball.
When's the last time you played baseball, Tyvis?
The softball game.
No, baseball. Real baseball.
Oh, baseball, like baseball. 2010. 2010.
What level was it, though?
Varsity. What's wrong? Don't play with me. You better check my record.
What did you hit in high school?
That's irrelevant. Probably like if I had to throw a number out there, I'd probably say like 1,000.
Tyvis never changed. Never changed, Tyvis.
You just got to get Tyvis' high school baseball coach.
What's your high school baseball coach's name and number if you've got it?
Pete Priola was his name.
Well, guess what? Pete's on the show. Pete's on the show right now. Listen,
I don't know if he became the basketball coach. I don't know if he still is.
Tyvis, we got a surprise for you. Pete is on the show right now. Say hello to Pete.
What's up, Pete? Tell him the truth.
Did you see his face? His face was like, hold on. Wow.
You thought I was going to change? You know what? He going to come on the show, and he going to be like, you know what? I tried to talk Tyvis into playing baseball because it's just when you see those kids at that age, his fundamentals and how good he was, if he would have just stayed with it, he could have really been something.
We need to book coach.
He did himself a disservice by playing football.
Tyvis, I didn't want to have to do it to you. I've been lying. I'm a wolf in sheep clothing. To be truthful, I might be the best hitter on the panel. Oh my God!
You know what? This is.
Hey guys,
I was a good hitter in high school.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this right now. At 56 years old, last year.
What you hit, Jay?
I squared up a ball that went probably 380 feet, and this is not a lie. It was a home run, and it's a Solon High School, and they have tall evergreens behind left field.
Yeah, they do.
And it was still going up when it went over.
So how many hits
over
do
the
you
trees.
think you get in the majors? 100 at bats.
I'm going to be honest here.
Be honest.
Whoa, so I'm not honest?
No, you're not getting 100 hits.
Y'all like
You'd be lucky
y'all
to get one.
I could get at least 15 hits. I would hit 150.
15?
I believe I could.
Fielders.
Yeah.
With fielders.
I don't buy it.
Oh yeah, in games.
How many
in games?
How many pitches
you're
would it
selling
take for you
yourself
to go to hit it out of a progressive field?
Well, now I've taken
One.
batting practice at Major League Parks a number of times.
Okay.
I've hit them out with metal bats. I've hit one out with a wood bat. I will tell you, and by the way, my home run last year was a wood bat.
Okay.
But it's a different deal, Tyvis, to get a ball to jump off a wood bat.
You know why?
Tough,
you know why
man.
you can't. You know why you can't. You know why you can't hit 1,000, bat 1,000 like me. It's all in the mind. You was defeated. You already defeated before you even went to the plate.
I'm just trying
you
to be
selling
honest.
yourself.
Listen,
I'm not
I'll
buying
be honest,
15, although I
no
haven't
one
seen
on
you
this
play.
panel is getting a single hit in 100 bats.
Oh no, you're wrong.
There's not a chance any
You're
of
wrong.
us are getting
No,
a
you're
single hit.
you're absolutely wrong.
Against the minor league pitcher?
Jay played at a high
Here's
level,
the
but
thing.
Jay has the best chance.
And here's the thing.
15's egregious.
So
No, he doesn't.
15 is
He
too
does
much.
not.
I'm not buying 15.
Austin
Jay
Hedges
is-
bets 180. Miles Straw's betting 177. You telling me you're Miles Straw
McNuggets
right
to see.
now?
No.
You
no.
see me in action.
I'd
You
give
act like I
Jay.
struck
I'd
out.
give Jay 5. I'd give Tyvis 1. I'd give G
That's
0. I'd
No,
give
no,
Brett
no.
0.
G
I'd
was
give
a hitter
Brett
in his
0.
day.
All right, I'll give G 1.
575, verifiable in high
Yeah,
school.
Hey,
no,
I
G
was a
was
good
a
hitter in high school too. I don't think I could hit a
Can we
major
go to the
league
batting
pitcher.
cages, McNuggets? Swings
Yeah.
and things.
Wait a
We
minute.
can set it up. We can
I
set
got a
it up.
question.
We got
I got a
cages,
question.
swings and things. Hey, it's difference between metaphors and real rap. When
And
that 85
let me tell you
gets
something.
coming,
Now, here's the difference between. I guarantee you, if we go to the batting cages, if we all got in at 90, within 5 or 6, we're all going to hit it. We're all going to hit it because you
same
know
thing
what's coming.
coming at you.
The trick isn't hitting 90. It's
The
not.
off-speed.
it's the curve.
The trick is, can you hit 90 if there's also a possibility that he's going to throw a slider at 78 that's
Movement.
going to end up 3 or 4 inches
Or
off
it's
the
going to
plate?
throw it near your head
Hey, Jay.
too.
You don't know where it's going.
Jay.
Yeah. Ty.
How fast is your fastball today?
Today-
Because you know me and you got a one-on-one
gotta
thing
take-
going
Yes.
on. I'm gonna take
We
you.
got
Now
to
I'm
listen.
gonna take you
now
right
listen.
over the fence.
Now take into account I'm 57 and I'm
That's
2 years.
fine. That's fine.
I've torn the rotator cuff. I've torn the bicep tendon and the labrum. If I want to hump up, I'll only get to 75 today. But in my prime, I guarantee you, I'm throwing it by you, and you didn't know what happened. I only wish I could go back to that. However, I will not throw you fastballs. You will not see a fastball. For me, you'll see cutters and sliders. I
Why
will
would
tell
you want to do that? That's cheating. We didn't say that. No. We didn't say that. No, we didn't say that. We was talking
But
just
by the way,
fastball.
And sliders.
90 over 90% of major league pitchers at this point throw regularly over 90.
They
not
better.
Just 90.
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah.
Especially
Hey,
now.
we gonna
How
all,
many junk ballers are there?
McNuggets?
Very few now.
We gonna
Kyle
all
Hendricks,
go
I
to
mean,
the batting
it's not
cages.
There used to be a lot.
Bull
Yeah.
got to get in the batting cages, and we're gonna have Brad in the batting cages.
Oh, I can still hit in the back. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I can hit 90 miles an hour.
I
at
paid
this
top
point.
dollar to see Bull swing the bat.
Hey, I
I ain't gonna
swear
lie.
to God,
I
That's
was a good baseball player in high
Can
school
we have this
100
done?
years ago.
Can we have this done? I want it on tape. Hey, put tag board on. I don't know if tag board does
See, at least,
everything.
hey, Tyvis, at least I'm realistic. Like, I was a decent high school player. I probably, if I would have stuck with it, which I quit the team before my senior year, was a really big regret. I could have probably played Division III baseball, and that's it. That's as far as I would have gone. But
I'm realistic.
to say you can hit better than Austin
anytime,
Hedges,
anything
who's
we
all
the
the
best
way.
baseball player, is crazy.
Yeah.
I
He
would have
already
went
got
on
it set up.
So
It's already set up.
We did a live shot at Swings and Things maybe, I don't know, maybe a month ago. And the owner, Tim Sorgi, great guy, big Channel 3 fan. He's like, anything you ever need. You need a season pass. You need whatever you need. You call me, and we will have you guys out and do whatever you want. So Swings and Things is where this is going to go down.
We're coming.
And I went into the Swings and Things. I was so confident that I went into the 85 and did it live cold. for the show.
Wait a minute, Jay.
Like, yeah.
Jay,
5 is coming.
And I smoked.
You ever,
Go ahead.
have y'all on the panel? Have y'all ever heard of these two players? Well, there's one player by the name of Bo Jackson. You ever heard of him?
Never heard of him. No.
Well, he was this guy that played
played
football
soccer, right?
and was really he was pretty good at baseball as well. But guess who better than him though? Guess who taught him everything he knows?
Jeter Judd is. Jeter Judd.
You weren't even born yet.
What's it? Jeter Judd.
My spirit was there, Jay. My spirit
was there.
Jeter Judd Griffey.
This guy is Griffey Rodriguez.
We've gone so far off the
Get
tracks.
these boys out of here.
We've gone so far off the tracks.
Tyvis, give us your prediction for
Yeah,
the
what's the
Buckeyes.
score?
Prediction. We got internet
For
predictions.
this game, for this game and the season. For this game and the season. Go ahead.
All right, for this game, I got it. My prediction is 45-17 Buckeyes.
That's what I had. I can't believe he said that.
Wow. And for the season,
What about the season?
Tyvis, that is exactly my score.
For the season, they will finish undefeated this season. I think they will have one game this season where they may potentially struggle a little bit.
Yeah, they always do.
And it would be, if I had to put my finger on it, it's one or two games. I got Wisconsin or Northwestern.
Wisconsin,
one or two.
Wisconsin is always a tough matchup.
Yeah, Wisconsin's always.
There's another.
Wisconsin got their running back coming back, and if the quarterback Graham Mertz can go back to his freshman year, they'll win the West.
Hey, did you watch Penn State last night? Because they dodged a bullet, bro.
Yeah.
They should have lost that football game.
And Purdue started throwing the ball in the fourth quarter when they was up. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Run the clock.
They completely gave that football game to Penn State, and the officials did too, because the catch on Purdue's drive was a catch. They called it a catch on the field. Yeah. I know it hit the turf, but the ball never moved. It was a catch.
Yeah.
And they waved it off. They end up missing on third down, punting on fourth down. The touchdown drive ended.
Tyvis, we'll see you next week, buddy.
Peace out, bro.
All right, Tyvis.
Tyvis Jackson.
Griffey.
Tyvis Judge.
Griffey.
All right, what do we got, Mike?
So we got to do what the internet says real quick, then we'll do our predictions, and we'll call it a day. We asked the internet, how much will Ohio State beat Notre Dame by on Saturday?
Yeah.
And whenever we talk to the internet, it's brought to you by PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and signing bonuses. Yeah, that's all factual. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
And PCC wants you to know it's 12:56. And Michigan still sucks.
That'll work today. That'll work today.
Well played. So, like we said, let's take tag board. This was the question again. We got over 150 responses to this, so we can only show 3, but we asked for a numerical response, and we got a bunch. So let's take the first one here, Anthony. This is our bidding. It says by 30 points, so close to what Tyvis and Jay projected. Right. Let's go to the next one. 14 up 21 late. Notre Dame scores in the fourth for a 42-28 win. That would not cover the spread.
No, that'd be bad.
And lastly, 17.5, because just like everyone else, he needs the Buckeyes to cover the parlay. So that is what the internet predicts. Most of the predictions were for Ohio State. We did have a couple Notre Dame votes, but we're not going to give them any acknowledgement on the show.
No.
So let's go around the horn. We'll start with Bo. We'll finish with Jay. First, game predictions, and then we'll go back around for season predictions.
Buckeyes win 49-24. The defense will struggle a little bit in this game, but as the season goes along, it will get better. Buckeyes are going, they play 12, 13, 15-0. They will not lose a game.
Wow.
And they win the national championship.
How about
that?
But
the defense looks shaky in the opener, but the offense dominates so much it doesn't matter.
Buckeyes win 42-14. And for the season, Buckeyes go undefeated, but are scared to death by the Badgers. And I believe it is it the
Are you playing it out?
I'm playing it all the way out.
Yeah.
I'm playing it all the way out. And
they're not scared in the championship game by Alabama?
Well, no, I'm just saying undefeated in the regular season.
Okay.
I'm not going all the way out. And
all
then the second game that scares me is always the Michigan game scares me because they've got new life again. So you're going to have to meet that head on here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I got Ohio State 38-13 for the season. I got them actually being undefeated and they'll go to the Final Four. But I think there'll be 2 SEC teams that'll be waiting for them. We'll give you that prediction then, but I think they.
Oh, you're holding out.
Yeah, they relatively get to the Final Four.
I thought you were going to say they're undefeated and win. I was going to be like, what we look like now is that Saturday Night Live show. Duh Bears, Duh Bears. They're going to win every game and they're going to win 100-0.
What a great
in that same vein, I see the Buckeyes winning 45-17. I can't believe Tyvis had my exact number. 45-17. I do think it will be a little closer early on as they feel each other out. The Buckeye defense scares me a little bit. It's a new system. It's new verbiage. Everything is different about it. And I'm not sure that Knowles has the personnel yet in-house that he's going to need to run his system. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. A lot of times when a new coach comes in and he looks around his offensive talent, he's like, I got big, slow guys, and I want to run a pistol. I want to move. I want to go. So I think he doesn't have the players and horses that he needs there yet. He'll get them there. But 45-17, I think they run the regular season undefeated. I have them losing to Alabama in the championship game, and I hope I'm wrong.
It's going to be a close one.
I came up with 42 questions for today's show. We've done 1 so far.
That's great.
So I'm going to throw one more out at you guys before we say goodbye.
42.
That's crazy.
We literally got to 1. So, you know what? That's overproducing, and I'd rather overproduce.
Well, Tyvis took us down the baseball train again, and it's over.
Trail said it's okay.
Yeah.
So 2 of us predicted that Ohio State wins the championship. 2 of you guys predicted they don't.
Yeah.
If the Buckeyes win it all this year, does Ryan Day dip to the NFL?
Oh, no.
No, absolutely not. No.
I would never. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I would never. If I was a successful NCAA coach, I would never.
But there have been a lot of people saying that he does have interest in it at some point.
He does. I think everybody does. Everybody listens. But there's something about.
I'll say no, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he did.
At some point, maybe.
Yeah.
I just don't think it would be after this year.
It's just like being. You can either work for ESPN or you could work for ABC News Tonight. I'm not trying to sit up there with all them clothes on and have to deliver the news like,
oh, no.
This is Garrett Bush. There's a war in Iraq again. No, no, I don't want that. I want to come in here and put my joints on. How much money y'all going to give me? It's the same, about the same? Yeah, give me that.
He's paid like an NFL coach right now.
He is.
I think that there might even be some trepidation from NFL coaches. This has been a trend. Guys that have gone from the college ranks to the NFL and had great success, you can count on one hand.
Yep.
It's very, very rare. It's a different beast altogether. See Urban Meyer for the most recent example of that.
If Saban couldn't do it, and Saban was on the coach, he's the college Bill Belichick, coach with Bill Belichick in Cleveland. He had all the pedigree.
I don't know that we know he couldn't do it. He was only there like 2 years.
Well, he didn't do it in the years that he was there, and the way he quit, he'd never be able to do it again.
I ain't got no time for this.
Yeah. So I don't think he'll do that. I think they have a coach on their staff right now that will be an NFL coach within 5 years.
Well, listen.
His name's Brian Hartline.
The good news for Urban Meyer is now people will be less interested when he's feeling up 19-year-olds in the bar.
So good.
I guess.
Yeah. I'm the bad guy? Didn't he do that?
Do we want one more question or no?
Yeah, give us another one.
I'm the bad guy.
Can't end on that.
We got to cleanse the palate. Cleanse the palate.
All right, last question.
Give me that Cabernet to close it out.
I'm the bad guy.
Last
Urban
question
Meyer.
we know Jackson Smith-Njigba, arguably the best receiver in college football, probably the best, if not the best. The question is, can Marvin Harrison Jr., Fleming, and Ibuka make up for 70% of the production left behind from Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave?
You're going to have to.
Yes.
I never thought, I was never one of those guys to be like, oh, next guy up. But dealing with the Buckeyes, this next guy.
They proved it in the bowl game.
Yeah,
they got great.
They lost their horses, and they said, "We'll take you, and we'll take you," and they broke the record.
Fleming
had a record-setting game.
Fleming and Harrison will easily have 1,000 yards this year. I'm gonna just let y'all know.
They're gonna put up huge numbers, all of them. They're all studs.
And the same guy is throwing the football, and as long as he stays healthy, then I see this Ohio State team running all the way to the championship game. And if their defense, to your point, Bull, I think you're right. They will struggle early. They'll get better.
Yeah. Right.
If they get to a point by January that Knowles feels comfortable and he can really pull the pin out of the grenade, so to speak, and just let everybody come, because he runs an aggressive scheme and he wants to attack, which I love. We haven't seen that at Ohio State
years
in a long time.
No blitzes, nothing.
No. I mean, I think Schiano, when he was there, he was creative with this stuff, but it was way too infrequent. I think with this guy, when he gets his horses, we're going to be looking at a defense that I think can rival the offense that Ohio State has had the last couple of years.
And to pick you up from your last comment, I will give you this one. C.J. Stroud is better than Baker now. There you go.
Ooh.
It's a Baker diss.
Well, listen, if he ends up being the number 1 overall draft pick,
C.J. Stroud right now
is better
would
than
be
Baker
better in the NFL than Baker. Is that what he's saying?
Skills, talent for talent, he's better than
listen,
Baker
they
today.
both might end up being Heisman Trophy winners and first overall draft picks. That's entirely possible. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of what you just said is we'll be able to figure it out.
No Ohio State quarterback's been drafted in the first round, right?
Listen, Ohio State quarterbacks have notoriously flopped in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're naming Art Schlichter as the guy that broke through.
And they had Troy Smith. And Troy Smith, Troy Smith was that deal. I don't know what happened between.
People thought Troy Smith, Terrell Pryor.
Well, Justin Fields was drafted in the first
Braxton
round.
Miller. There were a lot of guys that they run
Justin
through
Fields,
there.
we don't know yet. He hasn't been given much of
Justin
an
Fields,
opportunity.
But so far.
Joe Burrow, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he didn't count. But you're right. You're right. Why'd you go and transfer?
One more, and it's a one-word answer from each of you.
Okay.
Because Urban
Does Ohio State.
Tomorrow on the We Hate Urban Meyer show, Bull will tell you why he was a horrible college coach.
Does Ohio State beat Michigan by 50 or 60 this year?
What?
That's like, when did you stop beating your wife?
Like
that's a loaded question.
Bro, they're not going to be. Bro, come on, stop playing. Put some respect on that. Michigan is physical now.
All right, how about we just pick a number? Let us all pick a number.
Pick a number.
I say they win by 24.
Damn you, Bull.
24, 60, what's the difference?
13.
No,
it's over in the first quarter.
Come on, let's go. The
13.
show's
Don't live in your fears.
13.
Don't live in your fears. That's a T-shirt.
It is. I need to get it.
I got 24 too, Bull.
Along with the Baker off the leash.
I got 24.
I'm off the leash too. Apparently, I can't say anything bad about Urban Meyer. Everybody gets all uptight about it.
Hey, Steve, don't worry about working on getting Urban on the show.
Yeah, that ship sailed a long time ago.
He has retweeted us.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Urban?
Urban did.
Urban has, yeah.
He ain't coming on, though. I promise you that.
Buy some T-shirts. Have a great Labor Day, and we'll see y'all Tuesday.
Peace!
OH! That's the great way to end the show, Steve.
There it is. That's why you got Emmys, Steve.
Steve for the Heisman.
Yeah, there he is. Slow pan. So zoom. Sorry. That's why I've been.